Cao Wenbin transmigrated into the Xuanhuan world, becoming the sacred son of the Cao family. Unfortunately, this is a comprehensive Xuanhuan novel universe. Chosen ones are everywhere and destined protagonists are as common as dogs. Although his Cao family is the strongest force in the central region, one wrong step would lead to total defeat. Fortunately, upon transmigrating, Cao Wenbin obtained a divine book, otherwise he would truly be left to drift aimlessly. What? You have your eye on that ancestor of the Dai family. You want to take her as a concubine? Looking at his astonished parents a few steps away, Cao Wenbin nodded without any hesitation. To be honest, he didn't really want to do this. After all, that ancestor of the Dai family was at least 500 or 600 years old. Although in this world powerful people could maintain eternal youth. Outside it was said that Dai Yunyu was stunningly beautiful, rarely seen in the world. But that was just a rumor. No one could be sure what she really looked like. But even with great reluctance, Cao Wenbin had to do this. If he didn't win over Dai Yunyu, he would be killed in the near future. Oh, why is my luck so bad? Other transmigrators are either invincible or have a system. At the very least, they are chosen ones. They might suffer a bit in the beginning, but at least their lives are safe. Why is it that for me, I have to become the great villain of fate? That's right, Cao Wenbin now was no longer the same Cao Wenbin. Inside this body lived a soul from Blue Star. Coincidentally, both were named Cao Wenbin. As a transmigrator, he also had a golden finger. But his golden finger was just 2 books. One book was called Otherworld Dragon King. The book described events that would happen in this world in the future. According to the book, in 3 months, he would be killed by a single punch due to a rivalry with Dai Ku of the Dai family over a woman. The other book was called Record of Myriad Beauties. Unlike Otherworld Dragon King, this was a strange book. So far, Cao Wenbin had not discovered a single character on it. All the pages were filled with silhouettes of people. However, the first time he opened this book in his mind, Cao Wenbin already understood its specific. Simply put, as long as he lit up the silhouette on the book would give him a reward. And that Dai Yunyu was the silhouette on page 34. It was because of this that he came to beg his parents to help him marry Dai Yunyu. Once this is done, let's see how Dai Ku can still make a move against me. Even if I can't beat you, so what? He'll crush you with seniority. Thinking of the satisfaction, Cao Wenbin's lips curled up involuntarily. But at that moment, you brat, I think you need a beating. Do you know that Dai Yunyu is 200 or 300 years older than me? So do you want me to call you something? After confirming from Cao Wenbin, Cao Zian exploded. But just as he was about to teach this unfilial son a lesson, Cao Wenbin's mother immediately stopped him. What's the rush? I actually think this is a good idea. Wenbin is not young anymore. It's time for him to experience the pleasures of the mundane world. As for age, what does it matter? She's just a concubine anyway. Why don't you want to be a grandfather soon? Hearing this, Cao Zian was instantly speechless. As a man over 100 years old, how could he not want grandchildren? Besides, Cao Wenbin, their main hope, had become a waste due to his poor constitution. So having a grandson as soon as possible had always been his. Then you handle this matter. I can't bear to lose face. After saying this, he flicked his sleeves and left. Without the stern father, the mother and son's conversation became much warmer. Wenbin, tell me quickly, why did you suddenly come up with this idea? Could it be that you've fallen for Dai Yunyu's beauty? But that doesn't add up. They say that woman hasn't shown her face in 200 or 300 years. I've never even seen her true face, so how could... Looking at the gossipy Lin Shirin, Cao Wenbin shook his head helplessly. He couldn't reveal the truth, or else this overly protective mother would do something extreme. In fact, with Lin Xian's saint-rank strength, crushing the Dai family would be a piece of cake. After all, in this era when great emperors do not appear, saints are the pinnacle of combat power. But destroying the Dai family was easy, of killing Dai Ku was extremely difficult. According to Otherworld Dragon King, after he was killed, the entire Cao family was shaken. Because the Cao family had few members, and he was the only son of his generation. But even when the great emperor realm ancestor of the Cao family intervened, they still couldn't kill Dai Ku. At the critical moment, that guy accidentally stumbled into a teleportation array. So not only did Dai Ku not die, he obtained a great fortune. In the end, 100 years later, he returned to avenge the Dai family. Mother, don't worry about this. The urgent matter now is to finalize this. I promise you, if you can make Dai Yunyu my concubine within 2 years, I will certainly make you a grandmother. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes immediately sparkled with excitement. Are you sure? A gentleman's word is his bond. Good. With a curl of her lips, Lin Xian's finger began to write in the air. Though Lin Xian's movements were ever so slight, the very sky above Lingxiao City underwent a cataclysmic transformation the instant she stirred. First, spiritual energy surged in from all directions. Then, suspended before the eyes of all, a radiant yellow scroll woven from spiritual energy materialized. And upon that scroll were precisely the words Lin Shirin had inscribed, "Listen, while the Dai family. My son Wenbin has taken a fancy to your Dai Yunyu, and intends to take her as a concubine in 3 days. Prepare yourselves properly, and do not disgrace my son. Lin Shirin." Arrogant. Utterly arrogant. There was no deliberation. It laid it bare within 3 days the Dai family must deliver their own ancestor to her son's bed. A saint-level decree. Lingxiao City was the greatest metropolis in the central continent. So many discerning individuals immediately recognized the origin of the scroll in the sky. The Dai family is about to strike it lucky. Even as a concubine with the Cao family's backing, they can at least advance another step. Before they were a second-rate family. If they advance further, then that would mean. Is there a Dai Yunyu in the Dai family? I've never heard of her. Friend, you've revealed your age. That Dai Yunyu is the Dai family's ancestor. It is precisely because of her that the Dai family has climbed to second-rate status. This old man once had the fortune to behold Dai Yunyu's peerless beauty. Do you know in those days there was a saying, a single glance at Yunyu and your life is forever lost. Not only were the gossiping crowds in the streets discussing it, but within the Dai residence, all was in an uproar. The grand meeting hall. The ancestor is the pillar of our Dai family. How can she be married off as a concubine? This matter needs no further discussion. Great elder, insolent. Since ancient times the Dai family has practiced collective decision-making. When did it become your one-man dictatorship? Patriarch, I agree with your view. Making the ancestor a concubine to that brat is indeed a tremendous humiliation. But that is the Cao family, the only immortal power in the entire central continent. If you wish to preserve face, you must come up with a way to contend with the Cao family. Clearly the Dai family had split into two factions, each holding their ground, and they had broken into a heated quarrel. One faction believed that allowing the ancestor to become a concubine to a mere child was a disgrace beyond measure and absolutely unacceptable. The representative of this faction was the Dai family patriarch Dai Qianxiu and his son Dai Ku. The other faction, led by the great elder, hoped their ancestor would rise to glory, enabling them all to benefit from her ascent. Enough. The two sides were arguing fiercely on the verge of coming to blows. But just then a voice that seemed capable of enchanting the world drifted in from outside the door. Immediately afterward, a woman materialized in the grand meeting hall. Ancestor. Without a moment's hesitation, every member of the Dai family knelt in unison. Rise. The woman appeared preoccupied, and after speaking these words, she fell into deep contemplation. The Dai family members did not disturb her. They all stood with heads bowed, exuding utmost reverence. Yet there are exceptions to everything. Indeed, Dai Ku, who bore the mark of a protagonist, was not as compliant as the others. But the moment he lifted his head, he was stunned. And what delighted him even more was that his master also supported his decision. Your idea is excellent. Her true phoenix physique is immensely beneficial to your cultivation of... No, I absolutely cannot let her marry that Cao Wenbin. She is mine. No one can take her away. At that moment, Dai Ke's heart was unshakably resolute. And what delighted him even more was that his master also supported his decision. Your idea is excellent. Her true phoenix physique is immensely beneficial to your cultivation of the fire god art. If you can. These words appeared directly in Dai Ke's mind. At the same time, the ring on his right ring finger glimmered faintly. Master, then. Originally, Dai Ke had intended to ask how to win Dai Yunyu's heart, but scarcely had he begun his question when Dai Yunyu, who had been silent for a while, spoke. Make preparations. In 3 days I will marry into the Cao family. The faction that hoped to ride the ancestors' coattails rejoiced. They could already see an exceedingly bright future. But Dai Qianxiu and his son Dai Ku were aghast. Ancestor, this absolutely cannot be. We are not afraid of death. At worst we will fight the Cao family. Hearing this, Dai Yunyu paused for a moment, then smiled. Qianxiu, you don't think I made this decision to preserve the family, do you? This time it was Dai Qianqiu's turn to be stunned. Is it not? Shaking her head, Dai Yunyu answered with absolute certainty, of course not. The reason I was lost in thought was simply to consider what price I could sell myself for. To you, face is important, but to me it is worth nothing at all. My current cultivation is at the mid-king realm. If anyone can help me break through to the nirvana realm, then I would not only marry a brat. I would marry a pig without a second thought. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the wedding sedan of the Dai family soon arrived at the side gate of the Cao residence. That's right, the side gate. After all, Dai Yunyu was merely a concubine, and had no right to enter through the main gate. Not only that, but throughout the entire process of entering the mansion, there was no grand welcoming ceremony, nor a gathering of distinguished guests. The only person greeting the Dai family was a woman around 30 years old. Yet even so, the Dai family was flattered, because this woman was a peak nirvana realm powerhouse. She was a full major realm stronger than their ancestor. All right, you can set down the sedan. The young madam will follow me, and the rest of you go directly to the dining hall. Our Cao residence has prepared many good things for you. Rest assured, senior, I know what to do. The one leading the Dai family delegation was not Dai Qianxiu, but the Dai family's grand elder. Since he was from the Wangzhou Chengfeng sect, he was very obedient. He set down the sedan, and then led the others away. As for Dai Yunyu, she was even more eager than anyone else. As soon as the sedan touched the ground, she lifted the curtain and stepped out. Senior, please lead the way. In fact, Dai Yunyu was much older than the woman. But in this world, precedence was given to those with higher cultivation. Age meant nothing. However, unlike before, the woman's attitude had made a complete 180-degree turn. You are too kind, young madam. I am merely a steward of the Cao residence, unworthy of the title senior. You can just call me Xiaoxia from now on. Yunyu was stunned. This Nirvana-level powerhouse was actually flattering her. But soon she realized that the flattery was not directed at her as a person, but at her identity as the young madam. Although she was only a concubine, she was still Cao Wenbin's intimate companion. Her pillow talk could be quite influential. It seems the benefits of marrying Cao Wenbin are even greater than I imagined. The more she thought about it, the more excited Yunyu became. Thus the two, both burning with impatience, quickly joined hands and rushed toward Cao Wenbin's courtyard. But even at full speed, given their cultivation levels, it still took nearly 10 minutes to reach the destination. Young master, the young madam has arrived. There was no response, because at that moment Cao Wenbin was already stunned by Yunyu's beauty. Her face was enchanting, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. Dressed in a flowing crimson gown that trailed to the ground, she was a seductress by any measure. Most crucially, when Yunyu bowed her head, she could absolutely not see the ground. Web novel authors didn't deceive me. Transmigration is truly a gift from heaven. If I were still on Blue Star, how could a beast of burden like me ever taste such a delicious fruit? Excited by the thought, Cao Wenbin without a word pulled Yunyu into his arms. As for the steward Xiaoxia, she had already left. Tell me, what do you want to gain? With his face buried in her hair, Cao Wenbin was utterly intoxicated. Yet he was not carried away. Instead, he was unusually calm. He knew very well that the only reason this woman married him was for the benefits. As for love, it was not worth mentioning. I don't want anything. I just want to stay with you until the end of time. There were no fools in this world. Yunyu certainly would not state her terms directly. After all, if she did that, it would not be a marriage but a business transaction. Moreover, after the experience just now, Yunyu understood that as long as she pleased Cao Wenbin, well, the things she had once yearned for but could never reach would become. She could have as much as she wanted. And so, husband, a moment in the nuptial chamber is worth 1,000 gold. Let's discuss matters tomorrow. Right now, what we should be doing is exploring the origins of humanity. With that, she rubbed her leg against Cao Wenbin's. Under normal circumstances, Cao Wenbin could resist such a small temptation. But unexpectedly, in a tavern outside the Cao residence, sat by the window drinking alone in melancholy. From his glazed eyes, it was clear he was already somewhat drunk. Cao Wenbin, how dare you touch the woman I've set my sights on? And you, Yunyu, you are utterly shameless. To become stronger, you would even sell your own body. Don't you just want opportunities? I've discovered a saint-level inheritance. If you can please me, well, I'll give it to you. How about that? The more he spoke, the more agitated became. In fact, according to his original plan, he should have already gone to snatch the bride. But Yunyu's words had completely quashed that idea. After all, even with the most incredible luck, he could not snatch someone from the Cao residence who was unwilling to cooperate. Bitched. As soon as he said that, took another gulp of wine. At the same time, a phantom image of a phoenix suddenly appeared in the central area of the Cao residence. Immediately, this phoenix raised its head and cried out. True phoenix lament. Bang! In his agitation, punched the table and shattered it. Disciple, steady your mind. If you continue like this, inner demons will soon arise. Just as was on the verge of madness, the ring on his right hand suddenly began to flicker. Immediately after, a surge of cool energy flooded into Kess's mind. Phew, that was close. Whoever dwelled within that ring certainly had remarkable skills. Within mere seconds, he had completely calmed down. Yet this person was indeed quite talkative. Disciple, remember, strength is like limbs, women are like garments. As long as you have limbs, why fear lacking clothes? Even if you deeply fancy Yunyu, once your power is formidable, you can return and take her away by force. Hearing this, Kess's eyes lit up instantly. But just seconds later they dimmed again. Even if I snatch her back, shall be what others have already It was clear that Kess still hadn't let go. You don't understand this. A woman with rich experience is the true gem. They are like aged wine, the more you savor, the more fragrant they become. Enough focus on improving your strength now. The faster you advance in power, the more. At this moment, the being within the ring almost felt grateful to Cao Wenbin. After all, this was an unparalleled motivation. At the Cao residence in Cao Wenbin's quarters. Quite sensible. Glancing at Yunyu, who was feigning sleep, Cao Wenbin chuckled softly, then closed his eyes to peruse the myriad beauties record within his mind. Quickly the book was turned to page 34. Unlike the earlier plain gray pages, the 34th page now shimmered in iridescent. The phantom on the page had transformed into a colorful portrait of Yunyu. An additional line of text appeared. Name Yunyu. Identity matriarch of the Dai clan. Cultivation peak of the King realm. Appearance score 93. Loyalty 81. Note, this woman is highly pragmatic. When your strength surpasses hers, you are her heaven. But once you lose your standing. Quite detailed. Excellent, with this I needn't fear betrayal from my women. As he murmured, Cao Wenbin's gaze fell to the bottom of the page where 3 iridescent chests gleamed brightly. These must be the rewards for recording Yunyu. A smirk curling at his lips, he opened the 3 chests one after another. Fortune seizing art. When contending with a child of destiny, if you outmaneuver them, you can seize a portion of their fortune for your own use. Note: fortune is profound and mysterious. The more abundant your fortune, the more serendipitous encounters you will have. Fortune gazing art. Fortune is elusive yet traceable, broadly categorized into 7 levels: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Remember, if you encounter someone with stronger fortune than yours, flee immediately. Otherwise, great calamity awaits. Forbidden physique, a transcendent constitution beyond the 3 realms and outside the 5 elements. Those with this physique advance in cultivation at an astonishing pace, with limitless prospects. Yet they incur the envy of all beings, even the jealousy of heaven itself. When Cao Wenbin claimed the first 2 rewards, nothing stirred. But the moment the forbidden physique merged into his body, the very world underwent a cataclysmic change. With a thunderous boom, Cao Wenbin's courtyard was obliterated into nothingness. Yunyu, who had been feigning sleep, was sent flying. Fortunately, her clothes hadn't been completely destroyed during their earlier battle, or she would have been While Yunyu was utterly bewildered, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth began surging toward Cao Wenbin at an alarming speed, forming a What's happening? The commotion was too immense for the Cao family's experts to ignore. Within seconds, the area was crowded with onlookers. The one who spoke was naturally Lin Shirin, worried for her son. Yet despite her burning anxiety, she received no response. The only one who knew the truth was utterly petrified. To be honest, as the matriarch of the Dai clan, Yunyu was well-traveled and knowledgeable, but she had never seen so many formidable experts before. Among the crowd, even the weakest could easily obliterate her. Is this the depth of an immortal faction? What are you thinking? Answer my question. Yunyu jolted, then quickly bowed and said, Senior, do not worry. The reason for such a grand upheaval is that after Wenbin and I completed our union, the latent bloodline within him awakened. He is currently undergoing a breakthrough. Lin Shirin was stunned. Then she immediately began to observe carefully. When she confirmed that it was indeed as Yunyu had said, she was utterly dumbfounded. Cao Wenbin's poor aptitude had always been a thorn in her side. To this end, the entire Cao family had racked their brains. But in the end, all their efforts were in vain. Yet unexpectedly, after just one act, this problem that had plagued the Cao family for a full 20 years simply vanished into thin air. Damn, so this brat was just pent up. If only I had known. The more Lin Shirin thought about it, the more excited she became. The way she looked at Yunyu grew increasingly tender. But just as she was about to say something, this realm manifested another anomaly. As the nearby spiritual energy gathered more densely, 9 phantom figures gradually materialized in the sky. Once they were fully formed, these phantoms bowed in unison toward Cao Wenbin. At the same time, a heart-stirring wail echoed in everyone. 9 deities bowing, 10,000 demons kneeling in welcome. What constitution has Wenbin awakened to cause such grand omens? Cao Zian, who had witnessed everything, was nearly driven mad. Because even he, hailed as a peerless genius who had cultivated to the saint realm in just 100 years, had not caused such a stir when awakening his own constitution. This is the legendary taboo physique. It's normal that you don't recognize it. Fortunately, the Cao family had no shortage of capable individuals. Cao Zian didn't know, but someone else did. And so a refined middle-aged man spoke calmly, and Cao Wenbin's background was immediately revealed. Old. Cao Zian instinctively wanted to say, I don't know, how do you? But when he saw the speaker's face, he fell directly to his knees. Third ancestor, you have emerged from seclusion. Since the family head knelt, the others naturally followed suit. Greetings, ancestor. Of course, Yunyu, not recognizing the newcomer, reacted a beat slower. But she fell to her knees quickly enough. There was no help for it. Her legs had gone weak with fear. Dao rhythms surround him, his words become reality. This man is a great emperor. While Yunyu's mind was in a fog, Lin Shirin, who had just finished her bow, spoke urgently. Ancestor, are you saying my son has awakened the taboo physique? According to ancient records, this constitution is immensely powerful, but it incurs the envy of all beings, and will bring many. The visitor waved a hand, not letting Lin Shirin continue. In an ordinary family, this physique would indeed be a source of calamity. But in our Cao family, it is a tremendous opportunity. With that, the third ancestor glanced faintly into the void. Jun Laogui, Lin Laogui, do you have any objections to my words? Clearly someone was spying on the Cao family at that very moment. Haha, of course I have no objections. After all, this child's blood carries the blood of our Lin family. Don't be too smug, you 2 old bastards. My Xiaoweo's Huanggu sacred body is not inferior to this taboo physique. Stop. After a cold snort, the third ancestor paid no further heed to those 2 old rivals. He turned his attention entirely to Yunyu. Was it you who helped Wenbin awaken his constitution? Yunyu was startled. This junior dare not claim credit. I merely fulfilled my duty as a concubine. The third ancestor nodded, greatly pleased with Dai Yunyu's answer. You need not be so humble. Since you have entered the Cao family, you are one of us. From now on, your cultivation resources shall follow the standard of a principal wife. Having said this, the third ancestor's figure vanished. With the elder gone, Lin Shireen relaxed. She pulled Dai Yunyu close. Tell me, how was my son's performance? Dai Yunyu was baffled by the question, but answered honestly. Quite formidable. I almost couldn't hold my ground. Lin Shireen smiled smugly. My son is truly outstanding in every way. But soon she turned serious. Yunyu, you must understand that in life some hardships are unavoidable. You must never refuse certain opportunities just because of the fear of difficulty. Lin Shireen grew more and more explicit. Even Dai Yunyu, a woman, was blushing furiously, let alone Cao Zian, who stood not far away. Thus, unreasonable. With that, he too made a hasty retreat. But Lin Shireen paid no attention to her husband. Yunyu, don't just nod. A corner of her mouth twitched. Mother, I know what to do. As for whether there will be results. At this point, a helpless expression appeared on Dai Yunyu. After all, such matters were beyond her control. In truth, she too wanted to conceive a child. Because a mother's status rises with her son. If she could bear a boy, she would surely soar to great heights. Good, as long as you think that way, that's enough. Husband, you're finally awake. Dai Yunyu's eyes immediately filled with excitement as she watched Cao Wenbin, who had advanced his strength by leaps and bounds, breaking through from the Hotian middle stage to the Xiantian peak in just 2 days. She was truly delighted. After all, she and Cao Wenbin were like grasshoppers tied to the same rope. The stronger he became, the more benefit. Yes, finally awake. I must say that jar of aged wine of yours really packs a punch. You're so annoying. In her coquettish state, Dai Yunyu was truly the epitome of charm and allure, with affection brimming in her eyes. Thus Cao Wenbin's heart immediately began to race. Of course, the body is a whole. Since the engine of the heart had started beating, certain other parts naturally responded to the call right away. However, Cao Wenbin did not let it have its way. Instead, he took Dai Yunyu and went straight out the door. Where are we going? Husband, you just woke up. We should go greet your parents first. She rolled her eyes lightly. Why bother with them? Hurry up and take me to your Dai family. Oh, I want to experience what it's like to be an ancestor. Dai Yunyu was startled at first, then shook her head speechlessly. You didn't marry me just for this, did you? Although that was the truth, Cao Wenbin did not admit it. How could that be? The reason I chose you was because when I was shopping, I heard an old man say, a lifetime of military campaigns leaves the heart lonely. Not having Yunyu soon leaves the heart restless. And so, Cao Wenbin didn't finish his sentence, but Dai Yunyu understood everything. Before she could even utter a few complaints, they had already arrived at the Dai family's gate. Welcome to ancestors. It was unknown how the Dai family's great elder knew that Cao Wenbin was coming, but before his arrival, the old man had already gathered a large crowd waiting at the entrance. Among them was Dai Ku, the child of destiny. Cyan fortune. No wonder he managed to escape from the great emperor's grasp. In the very first moment, Cao Wenbin used his fortune viewing technique to examine Dai Ku's details. Damn it, taking advantage of today's opportunity, it'll at least reduce your fortune by 10%. With that thought, Cao Wenbin's large hand immediately wrapped around Dai Yunyu's waist. What are you doing? Dai Yunyu was very confused. Isn't this just using you to show off? Be a good girl and cooperate. I can't do anything about you. Although she was complaining, Dai Yunyu did not undermine Cao Wenbin. On the contrary, she cooperated extremely well, tilting her head and leaning directly on Cao Wenbin's shoulder. To be honest, both of them were exceptionally handsome and beautiful. As standing together, they truly gave off the impression of a golden boy and jade girl. But the more this happened, the angrier Dai Ku became. Disgusting couple, shameless. Dai Yunyu, if you really can't hold back, come to me. Don't you understand the principle of not letting good things go to outsiders? At this moment, Dai Ku was grinding his teeth in fury. But unfortunately, aside from fuming to himself, he could change nothing. As for taking action to teach Cao Wenbin a lesson, he dared not at this moment. After all, he had not yet obtained the saint-level inheritance. In his hand, aside from an old man in a ring, he had no other trump cards. You all just wait for me. Within 3 days, I'll make every single one of you regret it. Are you sure the room next door is Dai Ku's residence? Although she didn't understand why Cao Wenbin was asking this, Dai Yunyu still nodded. I have absolute authority in the Dai family. They wouldn't dare deceive me. Besides, I can sense that the junior named Dai Ku is currently in the adjacent room. By the way, why are you so concerned about this Dai Ku? Is there something special about him? Dai Yunyu was not stupid. After Cao Wenbin woke up, he neither went to see his own parents nor dined at the Dai residence, but instead cared about a junior of the Dai family. This proved that Dai Ku must have something wrong. Cao Wenbin did not hide it from her. Yunyu, if you had to snatch a fortune from your own younger generation, could you bring yourself to do it? Without any hesitation, Dai Yunyu nodded quickly. If this fortune benefits me, then of course I can. After all, to the Dai family, I am the foundation. Only when I become strong can the Dai family have better development. It must be said this woman was truly calm. No wonder she had managed to survive for so many years despite lacking strength. In that case, cooperate with me for a moment. As long as you make enough noise for Dai Ku to hear, then by tomorrow, he'll give you a saint-level inheritance. Dai Yunyu's eyes lit up. Without a second word, she immediately nodded and agreed. As for whether it was embarrassing, that was no longer within her consideration. Besides, even if he heard something, Dai Ku would never dare to speak recklessly. Shall we start now? I'm ready anytime. Bang! As he heard the commotion from next door, Dai Ku crushed the teacup in his hand. With bloodshot eyes, he ignored the bleeding right hand. Bitched. Shameless bitched. How can you be so promiscuous? With every bang or scream from next door, Dai Ku would mutter a curse. At the same time, the light of fortune on his body dimmed a bit. At first, the color on him was cyan, almost blue. But as time passed, the color grew fainter. When the sky brightened and the next door fell silent, the cyan had vanished, replaced by green. Alas, this boy is good in every way except his weak temperament. Born as the young master of the Dai family and hailed as a prodigy, he never knew what setback was. Watching Dai Ku, who had stayed up all night and whose voice had gone hoarse, the old man in the ring smiled bitterly. He had not warned him, hoping to use this opportunity to temper Dai Ku's character. Little did he know that this very tempering would directly ruin Dai Ku's future. If the Dai Ku with cyan fortune could have grown to emperor level after his fortune was exhausted, now Saint Trank was his ceiling. Unless he encountered another chance to boost his fortune. The old man in the ring, oblivious to this, was still congratulating himself. Not until the sun was high in the sky did he use the calming mind mantra to wake Dai Ku. Master, I lost my composure again. To be fair though, he had lost his future. Dai Ku had matured noticeably after this ordeal. It's best if you understand. Remember, regardless of the situation, strength is always paramount. Why can Cao Wenbin play with your ancestor as he putting her in any pose he wants? The reason is simply his strength. Dai Ku nodded lightly, his thoughts clear, and acknowledged his teacher's word. Without another word, he stood up and rushed out of the Dai mansion. You adulterous pair, just wait. After I emerge from the Saint Trank ancient tomb, the man will be killed. As for Dai Yunyu. Outside Lingxiao City, 900 li away by a cave among the mountains. Relying on the description from the Dragon King of another world, Cao Wenbin and Dai Yunyu finally found this opportunity. Their timing was, as soon as they arrived, the prohibition at the cave entrance vanished. This is indeed a Saint Trank tomb. Unlike Cao Wenbin's calmness, Dai Yunyu's delicate body trembled upon sensing the aura inside. After all, someone accustomed to poverty could hardly stay calm when suddenly seeing a mountain of gold. Alright, going quickly. Although this inheritance won't make you a saint directly, it should be enough to elevate you to the nirvana realm. Taking a deep breath to calm herself, Dai Yunyu said solemnly, I'm going in. When I come out, it'll serve you well. With that, she flashed into the cave. Cao Wenbin turned and went down the mountain. Of course, he wasn't going home, he was going to watch a good show. He had arranged it specially for Dai Ku. That evening, after a long journey, Dai Ku finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. In the past, this place was so remote that even rabbits wouldn't shit here. But today it was bustling with voices. At key entry points, human king realm experts were leading guards. Originally, Dai Ku had been in a good mood, daydreaming about soaring to the sky. Of course, he was mainly savoring the memory of Dai Yunyu's, but when he noticed the unusual situation, his face changed instantly. Could the Saint Trank ancient tomb have been discovered? With that thought, Dai Ku rushed toward the checkpoint, ignoring the guards. Unfortunately, he lacked the strength to force his way through. As a child of destiny, Dai Ku was used to fighting above his level. But now he was only at the peak of the fragmentation realm. No matter how strong his combat prowess, he could not match a human king realm expert. After all, there was a gap of 2 major realms. So after receiving 2 slaps, Dai Ku had to reason with the group. Who are you? This is a barren mountain. On what grounds do you forbid me to enter? Dai Ku had expected the guards to produce documents and lecture him about rules proving their actions were legal. But to his surprise, the one question sneered and said something infuriating. On what grounds? They'll tell you, because this place is claimed by the Cao family. In the central continent, whatever the Cao family sets its eyes on belongs to us. Crack. After hearing these domineering words, Dai Ku's fists were almost crushed. The Cao family again, the damn Cao family. How are you everywhere? But even with such anger, he could only endure. He even had to force a smile. After all, this opportunity was extremely important to him. Senior, my father is gravely ill, I must hurry back. Otherwise I might not see him for the last time. Please be kind and let me through. Not only did Dai Ku plead with words, his hands were also bit. Finding a moment when no one was watching, he directly stuffed a silver note into the guard's bosom. And this trick of his indeed worked. The Cao family guard gave a sly smile and offered him a suggestion. For your filial piety, he'll show you. The reason our Cao family has sealed the mountain is that our young master and his concubine are hunting here. You can pass, but to prove you carry no weapons, you must leave everything here except your underwear. In an instant, Dai Ku's handsome face flushed red like a monkey's bottom. Shame. This was outright humiliation. But he could only and this time he endured willingly. Because from the guard's reply he learned that the saint-level tomb had not yet been discovered. The purpose of these people was merely to prevent others from disturbing Cao Wenbin and Yunyu's outing. Thus after a few seconds of silence Dai Ke began to take off his clothes, until only a pair of underwear remained. Is that enough now? The guard looked him up and down, then fixed his gaze on Dai Ke's right hand. This ring must also stay. Of course, if you don't trust us you can bury it somewhere secluded. If it were anything else Dai Ke would not care. He could even trample his dignity on the ground. But this ring he would die before taking it off. After all, the old man inside was his foundation. But just as he was about to give up this opportunity and put his clothes back on, a carriage suddenly appeared at the end of the road. Then at sunder a voice came from within the carriage. A good dog doesn't block the path. Move aside, or it'll make you see stars. Otherwise it'll make you see why flowers are so red. Hearing this, the Cao family guards grew angry. Although in this central state full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers they were nothing much. But even a prime minister's doorman is a 7th rank official. They may be insignificant, but the person behind them was not. So, where did this little girl come from? A creature born, but not raised. Didn't your elders teach you not to be too arrogant when outside? Oi. The person in the carriage fell silent. Needless to say, she was probably stunned by, but just a few seconds later the counterattack came. Good, very good. In all my years Wu Qingming, this is the first time I've met someone who dares to speak to me like this. Today if I don't tear your stinking mouth apart, it'll change my surname from Wu. With that the carriage's speed noticeably increased. In the shadows, the moment the other party revealed her name, Cao Wenbin immediately flipped through the Otherworld Dragon King, and quickly found out all information about this woman. Wu Qingming, the little princess of the Tianwu dynasty. Her father is Tianwu Holy Lord Wu Lingtian Peak Kwasa Saint Cultivation. Her mother is Tianwu Empress Pei Luoxue Early Kwasa Saint Cultivation. 4 days later she will meet Dai Ke and they will fall in love at first sight and pledge their lives to each other. Her greatest opportunity on the way back to the Tianwu dynasty, she will find a little fox. This fox is a descendant of the nine-tailed celestial fox with a growth limit of saint level. In the later stages it becomes an indispensable helper for Wu Qingming. Good heavens, it turns out a destined heroine has come to protect her husband. Cao Wenbin shook his head helplessly. His original plan was to trick Dai Ke into giving up his ring. Then during Dai Ke's absence find a way to make the old man in the ring submit to him. That way Dai Ke would definitely not be able to cause any trouble. But now it seemed his steps had been too ambitious. It had already triggered Dai Ke's luck to actively protect its master. But a princess of the Tianwu dynasty can't play too big a role. With a curl of his lips, Cao Wenbin quickly walked out. The reason for such confidence was that the Tianwu dynasty was a vassal force of the When Wu Lingtian ascended the throne, it was Cao Zian who crowned him. Alright, everyone calm down. By the time Cao Wenbin arrived, the two sides were already nose to nose on the verge of fighting. As for Dai Ke, he was just about to take advantage of this opportunity to slip into the mountains. But unfortunately Cao Wenbin's arrival shattered his... With no other choice, he had to hide in Wu Qingming's convoy with the help of the old man in the ring. Damn it, aren't you supposed to be hunting? What are you wandering around for? Who are you, pretty boy? Seeing someone else blocking her way, Wu Qingming exploded on the spot. Born with a silver spoon, this was the first time she had encountered so many people daring to disrespect her. And this newcomer was even more insolent, actually daring to command her. Yet just as her words left her mouth, a slightly anxious voice rang out from within the carriage. Minger, do not be rude to the young master. At these words, everyone around the carriage was astonished. In particular Dai Ke, who had just hidden himself, broke out in a cold sweat. Originally seeing the person descending from the carriage with such defiance, he had thought it was some formidable force that could contend with the Cao family. But unexpectedly it turned out to be all show and no substance. Far from challenging the Cao family judging by the title, he even had to count out, "No, I can't stay here any longer. I can't even stay in this Lingxiao city. Otherwise," Dai Ke muttered as he began to survey the terrain, ready to seize an opportunity to flee. In truth, if nothing unexpected happened, he would definitely be in for a rough time this time. Wu Qingming, this little girl, could not save him at all. But the moment the person inside the carriage spoke, everything changed drastically. Since the celestial maiden inside recognizes me, why not come out and meet me face to face? The reason Cao Wenbin was so attentive to the person inside the carriage was that just moments ago the 10,000 beauties record in his mind had automatically flipped through and finally settled on the 22nd page. Clearly the person seated inside was a beauty listed in the record. Logically, after he had made his words so clear, the person inside should have descended and paid him grand respects. But unexpectedly, "Young master, there are many eyes and ears outside. It's better you come in." Hearing this, Cao Wenbin first glanced toward the right rear of the carriage, then under Dai Ke's terrified gaze he smirked and slipped into the carriage. To him, suppressing the child of destiny was indeed important. But compared to enhancing his own strength, it was nothing. After all, no matter the time, one's own foundation must be solid. Unlike the outside world, which was dim and lackluster like the setting sun, the interior of the carriage was brightly lit. As his eyes adjusted to the glare, Cao Wenbin finally saw the face of the speaker. She was lounging casually on her side, and even when Cao Wenbin sat down heavily beside her feet, she showed no intention of sitting up. A black silk dress covered most of her nearly perfect figure. Her hair was like a waterfall, her skin fairer than snow. On her beautiful legs, clad in flesh-toned stockings, was an anklet made of some unknown gemstone. Truly worthy of a beauty from the 10,000 Beauties record, this appearance is indeed beyond reproach. Upon closer inspection, she seems even more beautiful than Yunyu. Could it be that the earlier the page number in the 10,000 Beauties record, the more stunning the woman? Thinking this, Cao Wenbin suddenly became, if a woman on page 22 looked like this, then the one on the first page must be a celestial being. Just as Cao Wenbin was lost in reverie, the woman who had been lying on her side finally moved. But she still did not sit up. She merely placed her two silk-stockinged legs onto Cao Wenbin's lap. Young master, your servant, is named Pei Luoxue, Empress of the Tianwu Empire. When you were just born, I even held you in my arms. After saying this, her little feet playfully wiggled. What a seductress. Honestly, even if this woman hadn't tempted him, Cao Wenbin would have made a move when the time was right to claim his reward. But since she was willingly cooperating, it saved him a lot of trouble. So his large hands immediately began to. Of course, since his hands were moving, his mouth wouldn't stay idle either. So it's Aunt Pei? My apologies, my apologies. By the way, Aunt Pei, your way of greeting someone is truly unique. Others use their hands, but you use your feet. Truly worthy of a woman who had become a mother and ascended to the position of empress. Pei Luox's skin was indeed incredibly thick. Faced with such teasing, she not only didn't blush, but smiled and counterattacked. So young master doesn't like it. In that case, your servant will withdraw them. As she spoke, she made as if to move. And although Cao Wenbin knew she was putting on a show, he still couldn't help but say don't. Sure enough, as soon as that word left his lips, Pei Luoxue immediately stopped her leg movement. I knew it. No one can resist my legs. At that moment, Pei Luox's face was filled with smugness. But soon her expression froze. Because Cao Wenbin was actually attempting to breach her defenses. Don't. This time it was Pei Luox's turn to lose composure. She had indeed been seducing Cao Wenbin, intending to get the young master of the Cao family to help her with a favor. But she also had her limits. Being teased a little was fine. It wouldn't cost her anything. However, as the empress, she absolutely could not. Watching Cao Wenbin fiddle with his hair, Pei Luoxue's nearly flawless face flushed crimson like a monkey's rear. Indeed, she had just suffered a complete defeat. Who, after taking a deep breath to steady her racing heart, Pei Luoxue spoke with seductive eyes. Young master, can we discuss something serious now? Go ahead, I'm listening. Though he said this, Cao Wenbin's attention remained fixed on her legs. Wu Lingtian must be incredibly bold to let a stunning beauty like you venture out alone. Isn't he afraid of being cuckolded? Pei Luoxue rolled her eyes delicately. Who else would dare as you do? Don't forget, I am the Empress of the Tianwu Empire. That title alone is enough to deter anyone. Besides, I am a quasi-saint myself. If I refuse, how many in the central region could force? Glancing at the proudly coy Pei Luoxue, Cao Wenbin's desire to conquer her surged anew. But before he could act again, she shifted the topic. Clearly her experience had revealed his intentions. Young master, my visit to Lingxiao City is ostensibly to congratulate you on awakening your forbidden body, but my true purpose is to seek aid from the main family. Cao Wenbin's eyes lit up with interest. Seeking help, that was perfect. If she needed him, he would have an opportunity to get close to her. Yet he did not interrupt, waiting quietly. He knew that once she started, she would finish without pause. Indeed, young master, my husband has been on the throne for 60 years. According to the main family's rules, the dynasty must now select a crown. Originally, my son Xingfeng was the undisputed heir. After all, he is the eldest legitimate son. But a few months ago, that bastard Wu Qingxian, through some unknown fortune, shed his profligate ways and became highly ambitious. Not only did he create stylish clothing, but he also invented a weapon that could arm the common folk. That weapon is miraculous. Though useless to cultivators, it can kill ordinary people from over 100 meters away, making it impossible to guard against. Moreover, his cultivation, once mediocre, has skyrocketed. In just a few months, he advanced from the Hotian realm to the core formation stage. Thus, the once tranquil matter of succession has become chaotic. Pei Luoxue trailed off. But Cao Wenbin could guess the gist. Her son was gradually losing ground in the struggle against Wu Qingxian. That was why Pei Luoxue, as a mother, had traveled thousands of miles to seek help from the main family. As for the outcome, unsurprisingly, she had met with rejection. Otherwise, the empress would not have resorted to the desperate tactic of seducing him. The heart of a mother is truly selfless. Despite his feigned emotion, his large hands never stopped caressing her legs. So, Aunt Pei, you called me into the carriage to ask me to help your son. She nodded, her eyes filled with hope. As the sole heir of the Cao family, if Cao Wenbin chose to side with her son, then no matter how miraculous Wu Chengqian's performance, he would stand, and Cao Wenbin did not disappoint her. However, Aunt Pei, I'm curious, if I help your son become the crown prince, what do I get in return? Pei Luoxue fell silent. After a long pause, she gritted her teeth and said, the day Ling Tian announces the appointment, I will prepare my bed for you. A smirk curled at the corner of his mouth. Deal. But I want the location to be the Empress's chamber. She rolled her eyes fiercely, yet did not After all, since she had already gone this far, what did the location matter? If it pleased him, she might even gain more. Fine. But let's agree you cannot give Ling Tian orders by force. He is a monarch after all. If you are too domineering, it will rouse his rebellious spirit. If he develops a grudge against Chengfeng, all will be lost. Even if Pei Luoxue hadn't said it, Cao Wenbin wouldn't have done that. It wasn't that he cared about Wu Lingtian. He was merely a vassal unlikely to cause trouble. What truly concerned Cao Wenbin was the suddenly rising Wu Chengqian. From Pei Luoxue's description, this guy fit the classic protagonist template. No doubt he could even be a fellow countryman. A true fellow countryman. And soon the Dragon King of another world would confirm this for him. Before transmigrating, he was a PhD in mechanical engineering. His golden finger is that the higher his reputation, the stronger his strength. 2 months ago, while browsing an auction, he bought a severely injured quasi-saint powerhouse who has now been healed. A month ago, he inadvertently awakened a regularity trait. Betting with others can enhance his luck. Good heavens, this is pure protagonist of a power fantasy novel. A being even more heaven-defying than Dai Ko. The more Cao Wenbin read, the more shocked he became. At the same time, his determination to help Wu Chengfeng grew firmer. After all, if he didn't intervene, judging by the current situation, the Tianwu imperial dynasty might soon slip out of the Cao family's control. And that was absolutely not allowed. Aunt Pei, you don't mind waiting a few days for me, do you? After I explain things at home, we'll go to Tianwu City together. Of course I don't mind. Pei Luoxue was overjoyed. In her excitement, she threw herself into Cao Wenbin's arms. Since the young master is so straightforward, this servant won't hold back either. Although I can't offer you a grand feast for the sake of your health, I'll let you sample some desserts today. Outside the carriage, while Cao Wenbin and Pei Luoxue were being affectionate, Dai Ku and Wu Qingming were doing something similar. Of course, this newly acquainted young couple were not as bold as Cao Wenbin's pair. They were merely holding hands in a secluded place, pouring out their hearts to each other. That young master of the Cao family is truly detestable. How can he target Brother Dai Ku at every turn? By the way, Brother Dai Ku, if it really doesn't work out, you could go to Tianwu City. Although my Tianwu imperial dynasty is a vassal of the Cao family, we still have a certain degree of autonomy. Besides, the Cao family only visits once every few decades. If you go there, you'll surely achieve better development. One must admit the Heaven's Chosen's ability to charm women was truly freakishly strong. Indeed, the two had just met, yet Wu Qingming was already completely under his control. Upon hearing this, Dai Ku and the old man in his ring immediately burst into ecstatic laughter. After all, this was truly a case of someone bringing a pillow just when they were feeling sleepy. Moreover, the Wu family was a much bigger tree than the Dai family. A few crumbs from their hands would be enough for them to squander for a long time. Who would have thought that this lively little girl was the little princess of the Tianwu imperial dynasty? When fortune comes, there's really no stopping it. Cao Wenbin, just you wait. What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. No, I can't just flatter this little girl. When I get the chance, I need to curry favor with her mother too. The Empress' influence is far greater than this little girl's. In an instant, Dai Ku had mapped out a bright future for himself. But little did he know the mother-in-law he was so eager to curry favor with was currently scrubbing her feet with all her might. They did not linger here for long. After having his fill of fun, Cao Wenbin pulled Pei Luoxue and returned to Lingxiao City. As for Dai Yunyu, he didn't need to worry about her. After she finished receiving the inheritance, she would return to the Cao family on her own. This was an agreement they had made earlier. Originally, Cao Wenbin wanted to bring Pei Luoxue back to the Cao residence. But Pei Luoxue absolutely refused. As soon as they entered Lingxiao City, she immediately took Wu Qingming to look for an inn. There was no help for it. She truly dared not enter the Cao residence. Outside, she could rely on her cultivation advantage to barely hold the line. But if she stepped into the Cao mansion, by the time she came out, she might already be showing. I really don't know what you're being coy about. What difference does sooner or later make? Though puzzled, Cao Wenbin didn't insist. He turned and slipped back into the nearby Cao residence. The moment he stepped through the gate, a voice containing the laws of heaven and earth sounded in his ear. Wenbin, come directly to the back mountain. Your parents are also here with me. Cao Wenbin was taken aback, and then a look of deep disbelief appeared in his eyes. It wasn't that he was frightened by the method, rather. Among the Cao family's great emperor realm ancestors, there's actually a woman. And a peerless beauty at that. That's right, the moment the sound transmission reached his ears, the 10,000 beauties record automatically flipped open. And this time it stopped at the 9th page. What should I do now? In an instant, Cao Wenbin was completely stunned. But he didn't stop his steps. He immediately rushed toward the back mountain. Damn it, forget about that. Sky big, earth big, rewards are the biggest. Nothing can stop me from claiming my reward. The more he thought about it, the more excited Cao Wenbin became. The smile on his lips grew wider. You little rascal, what are you thinking about that has you so absorbed? Cao Wenbin was startled. When he looked up, he realized that he had unknowingly arrived at the forbidden area of the back mountain. The one who had just spoken was his mother, Lin Shireen. Oh, I was just thinking about how many daughters-in-law I want to find for you in this life. While his mouth was dealing with his mother, Cao Wenbin's eyes immediately fell on the unfamiliar woman. It must be said the Wanmei record proved truly reliable. After Cao Wenbin's careful observation, this woman dressed entirely in white was indeed even more beautiful than Dai Yunyu and Pei Luoxue. Especially in terms of temperament, she was utterly unmatched. Indeed, one must be fair and comely in mourning white. Bang! Just as Cao Wenbin was lost in fascination, a sharp blow struck the back of his head. You brat, have you no manners? This is your sixth ancestor, what are you staring at? First rubbing his head in embarrassment, but soon Cao Wenbin's face showed displeasure. Old man, why did you hit me? Everyone has a heart for beauty. This elder sister is so beautiful, what's wrong with me looking? Besides, I didn't know she was the sixth ancestor before. Cao Zian fumed. This brat dared to quibble. Yet just as he prepared to strike again, the sixth ancestor who had been reading all along spoke up. Enough, Zian. This trivial matter is not worth your concern. Besides, Wenbin is not wrong. With that, she observed Cao Wenbin with keen interest. To be honest, in her long life, she had seen countless brilliant youths. But none had dared to speak to her like this. Only Cao Wenbin. And her woman's intuition told her that this brat seemed to harbor improper thoughts toward her. Interesting, most interesting. Since my husband passed away, you are the first to dare covet my forbidden territory. Let me think. It's been 2,000 years since I've tasted flesh. If this lad has both the ambition and the audacity, I wouldn't mind indulging in a taste of novelty. With that thought, the sixth ancestor casually tossed a jade token to Cao Wenbin. Little one, take this. I foresee that you will soon embark on a long journey. If you encounter an enemy you cannot withstand, channel energy into this jade, and I will appear by your side in no time. Of course, if you encounter any problems during cultivation, you can also use it to summon me. Cao Wenbin was stunned, but within seconds he burst into delighted laughter. After all, possessing this jade token meant having a great emperor as a bodyguard. As for distance, for a great emperor, distance was they could tear through the void at will, reaching any corner of the Xian domain in an instant. Thank you, sixth ancestor. She waved her hand nonchalantly. No need to be so formal. I have nothing to do lately anyway. Serving as your guard will pass the time. If not for the pact among us old immortals that forbids great emperors from appearing freely, I would have wanted to stay by your side constantly. This time Cao Wenbin was truly flattered. In his knowledge, no one had ever received such treatment. In other words, he was the sole exception, the only one of its kind. Sixth ancestor. Before he could finish, the sixth ancestor cut him off with, since I gave it to you, just keep it. Don't worry about trivial details. By the way, little Wenbin, I summoned you today not only to meet you, but also to tell you something of utmost importance. As she spoke, her frivolous expression vanished, replaced by profound gravity. Please speak. She glanced at Cao Wenbin, who had also turned serious, and nodded with satisfaction. Good, you have a sense of propriety, a promising talent. Wenbin, from now on you must cultivate diligently, without any slack. Otherwise, when you encounter Jun Xiaoyao, you will suffer greatly. After all, your constitution awakened much too late. He has trained for 20 years longer than you. Cao Wenbin frowned. Jun Xiaoyao, the one rumored to have 6 kidneys and seduced his own aunt. That's right, that fellow. As a peer, he will be your formidable rival. Seeing the solemnity of his ancestor, Cao Wenbin immediately consulted the Yijia Longwang in his mind. As Jun Xiaoyao's life script unfolded before him, Cao Wenbin was stunned. This man was born with the ancient holy body. He was unremarkable before 23. Yet once he left the Jun family and began wandering, he soared to heights beyond opposition. With one hand, he subdued 3,000 emperors. With both palms, he swept across 13 provinces. Such was the true portrayal of Jun Xiaoyao's life. Heavenly chosen ones like Dai Ku and Wu Chengxian were mere ants in his eyes. If they willingly submitted, all was well, otherwise they would surely perish. And in the finale of Yijia Longwang, this very man unified the Xian domain, becoming the king of kings in this world. Of course, he was not entirely invincible. He suffered injuries during his growth, yet those wounds only made him stronger, never hindering him. Ancient sacred body. The Jun family backing him. At the very least, purple fortune. A golden finger that grows stronger with setbacks. Damn it, one person stacking so many buffs. How is anyone else supposed to compete? The more he analyzed, the more grim Cao Wenbin's expression became. But soon he realized that aside from having inferior fortune to Jun Xiaoyao, he seemed to be no worse in all other aspects. True, the ancient sacred body was formidable, but his own forbidden body was no slouch either. He had the Jun family as his backing, but didn't he also have the Cao family behind him? As for golden fingers, he had 2 of them, which seemed to give him an edge, didn't it? It seems I need to find a way to boost my fortune. That guy still has 3 years before he emerges from seclusion. Before then, I must at least elevate my fortune to the blue level. Only then can I be qualified to contend with him. With this thought, Cao Wenbin instinctively glanced at himself. But the next moment, he let out a bitter laugh. Although not long ago, by using Yunyu's shouts, he had successfully reduced Ke's fortune by 10%, he himself had not absorbed much. At this moment, his body was only faintly glowing with a red light. Little one, there's no need for you to belittle yourself. For a cultivator, a gap of 20 years is not significant. You will catch up soon. Clearly, the 6th ancestor had misunderstood. She thought Cao Wenbin was feeling discouraged. The size of the gap depends on whether you're willing to spread your legs. If you're proactive enough, I might even surpass Jun Xiaoyao instantly. Of course, this thought only remained in his mind. He dared not utter it aloud. Otherwise, even if the 6th ancestor didn't lose her temper, Cao Zian would surely strike him dead. Still, I should focus on cultivation. After all, that person is a mighty Emperor Realm cultivator, while I'm merely a minor Xiantian. The gap between us is truly too vast. If I don't improve, even if my flirting skills are superb, and I manage to win over the ancestor, I still might not be able to break through her defense. But for the sake of rewards, I still need to build up some goodwill first. Having made up his mind, Cao Wenbin immediately took action. Ancestor, please rest assured Wenbin is not wallowing in self-pity. By the way, Ancestor, what is your given name? Calling you Ancestor all the time feels too distant. Rascal. Cao Zian was about to flare up again, but was interrupted by the 6th ancestor. My name is Zhao Yuaner. Having obtained the answer, Cao Wenbin immediately seized the opportunity. Then I'll call you Sister Yuaner from now on. Cao Zian nearly fainted from shock. This was the 6th ancestor. How dare you, brat? But to Cao Zian's surprise, call me whatever you wish. Alright, I've said all I need to. You two go about your business. There's no need to keep an old woman company. Originally, Cao Wenbin intended to crack a few more jokes. But Cao Zian denied him the chance. Grabbing him by the scruff of the neck, he directly left the forbidden area of the back mountain. Rascal, when you see the 6th ancestor in the future, you must be respectful. Also, don't use that jade pendant unless absolutely necessary. The 6th ancestor prefers peace and quiet. As soon as they returned to the main hall, Cao Zian immediately began lecturing his son. Unfortunately, Cao Wenbin paid him no heed. Left with no choice, Cao Zian resorted to other tactics. The 6th ancestor holds a noble status. She truly cannot be running out. How about this? I'll assign you a guardian. For trivial matters, let her handle them. If she can't, then you can summon the 6th ancestor. Having said that, without giving Cao Wenbin time to react, he simply waved his hand toward the entrance. Then a woman who was only about 1.5 meters tall, with a very cute appearance, walked in from outside. Aunt Shui. Cao Wenbin recognized this woman. She was Lin Xian's maidservant, whose full name was Shui Ro, one of the dowry items. She had extremely high cultivation talent, and was now at the peak of the quasi-sage realm. By all rights, such a woman who came as a dowry would inevitably become the groom's concubine. However, due to Lin Xian's overbearing nature and Cao Zian's henpecked disposition, so many years had passed, and Cao Zian had never. Has the old man given up struggling? If so, then I won't hold back. Although Aunt Shui isn't a candidate on the beauty list, her looks combined with that adorable charm are enough to stir one's heart. Though his mind was full of wicked thoughts on the surface, Cao Wenbin was extremely respectful. Aunt Shui will be troubling you from now on. Sticking out her little tongue, Shui Ro said carefreely, Young master, you're too kind. Just give me your orders whenever you need anything. Seeing this, Cao Wenbin became even more convinced of his earlier thoughts. Damn, she was too alluring. In a courtyard closest to the Imperial Palace in Tianwu City. I wonder if Mother can bring reinforcements. If she can't, then my chance at the Crown Prince position is basically over. Looking at the intelligence in his hand, Wu Chengfeng felt as if he had eaten something extremely unpleasant. His handsome face was full of pain. He never imagined that his third brother, who used to idle away his time, would undergo such a huge change. Just 2 days ago, this guy invented something called a cannon. No one knew the principle behind it, but ordinary people operating it could actually threaten postnatal realm experts. Thus, Wu Chengqian's prestige immediately rose another level. Many ministers who had remained neutral also defected to Wu Chengqian. His father, the moment the cannon was unveiled, even visited his third brother's mansion. He didn't leave until the next day, completely satisfied. Eldest young master, someone from the palace has arrived. His Majesty summons you to the central square, saying that someone is to be greeted. Hearing this, Wu Chengfeng, who was pondering how to counterattack, was momentarily stunned, then excitedly waved his fist. He knew it should be his mother. Judging from the scale, there must be a major figure among the accompanying personnel. Mom, you're really amazing. At the third prince's mansion, Wu Qingxian, who was pondering how to boost his reputation next, also received this order. This stepmother of mine is quite capable after all. She actually managed to bring reinforcements. I wonder what price this great beauty paid for it. Although Wu Chengxian was a scientist before his transmigration, he was also well-versed in the ways of the world. In the eyes of the immortal Cao clan, it made no difference who ruled the Tianwu imperial dynasty. As long as the annual tribute was delivered in full, that was enough. Under such circumstances, if Pei Luoxue wanted to persuade the Cao clan to stand up for her son, she would certainly have to offer sufficient. As for what that sincerity was, in Wu Chengxian's view, the only thing Pei Luoxue could offer to test the other party was her body. What a pity, Empress Mother, though you are honored as the Empress, you don't understand the heart of an emperor at all. How could someone who possesses a vast empire ever be content to remain under others? By throwing open the gates and inviting the Cao clan, you not only fail to help your son, but will push him further away from the crown prince position. At the Imperial Palace Central Square, under Wu Lingxin's organization, the necessary members of the royal family quickly assembled. At the same time, a huge airship appeared on the horizon, the sky-splitting sword, the Cao clan emblem. And from the gold trim of the emblem, the visitor was actually a direct descendant of the Cao clan. Seeing this, Wu Lingtian, Wu Chengxian, and the others all frowned. The situation seemed somewhat troublesome. Could it be Cao Ziyan? If it really is him, then we're done for. The Tianwu imperial dynasty has developed for over 2,000 years. To be honest, their strength was not weak. On the surface, they had 3 saint-level experts. Though they were all early saint-level, they were still saint. But this little foundation was nothing in front of the Cao clan. Cao Ziyan alone was enough to sweep through the entire Tianwu imperial dynasty. Different from their anxiety on the airship at this moment, the scene was full of spring colors. Young master, did I dance well? That's right, Pei Luoxue the Empress was performing a pole dance for Cao Wenbin, and she was dressed extremely provocatively. High slick gray style. Obviously Pei Luoxue had been thoroughly trained along the way. Quite good. I never expected you to have such talent in dancing. After saying that, Cao Wenbin directly pulled the Empress into his arms. At first, Pei Luoxue was very obedient. She could kiss and sing and allowed touching without resistance. But when she realized the airship had already entered Tianwu City, she immediately began to struggle. Young master, I see my husband. No, I must change clothes. If he sees me like this, even if I had 100 mouths, I could never explain. Glancing at Pei Luox's anxious face, Cao Wenbin gave her a slap on the buttocks and then let her go. As a modern person who had received 9 years of compulsory education, Cao Wenbin understood the principle of going too far being as bad as not going far enough. Along the way, he had done many excessive things. If he continued to push now, this woman would go crazy. There's plenty of time, I want to see how long you can hold. Muttering to himself, Cao Wenbin walked to the edge of the yacht. Originally, he wanted to stand at a high point and admire this imperial city. But unexpectedly, after just a few glances, his eyes met with a young man's. This is a formidable opponent. Welcome the young master. As soon as the flying boat landed, the members of the Wu family in the square knelt in prostration. At the same time, Wu Lingtian and Wu Chengxian let out a collective sigh of relief. As long as the visitor wasn't Cao Ziyan, everything would be manageable. Cao Wenbin's status was indeed astonishingly high. After his physique awakened, his standing in the Cao family might even surpass his father's. But his strength was still quite weak and his social experience insufficient. Dealing with him would be no challenge at all. And the reality was exactly as they had imagined. This supremely noble young master, upon his first appearance, behaved with a remarkable lack of concern. Everyone rise. I'm not here to inspect your work. Oh, just pretend I'm not here. Cao Wenbin's smile was amiable, utterly devoid of arrogance. Yet the Wu family dared not take him at his word. Young master jests. There is a hierarchy of honor, propriety cannot be abandoned. Indeed. The young master rarely visits Tianwu City. How could we neglect you? Young master, you must stay in Tianwu City for a few days this time, so that our Wu family may fulfill our duties as hosts. The surroundings were filled with flattery, but as Cao Wenbin observed, few were sincere. It seems this Tianwu dynasty truly needs a new dog to be put in charge. Otherwise, it will surely become a great threat in the future. At this moment, Cao Wenbin was genuinely stirred to kill. Yet he did not lose his temper on the spot. This matter involved the son of destiny with Cyan Qi and required careful planning. Young master, your bedchamber has been prepared. Would you like to? Indeed, the imperial palace was not exclusively for the Wu family. The palace with the best location, the largest area, and the most luxurious decor. Even Wu Lingtian was not qualified to reside there, because it was reserved for the high-ranking members of the Cao family. Even though no Cao family member had ever stayed there since its construction, no one dared to covet that palace. It's still early. I want to take a stroll around Tianwu City. As for the palace, I'll move in when I return tonight. Upon hearing this, Wu Lingtian immediately nodded, but soon pressed further. Young master, what about the evening banquet? Waving his hand, Cao Wenbin said, hold it as usual. They'll be back in time. With that, Cao Wenbin left the palace alone. In the imperial study, Wu Lingtian and Wu Chengxian sat in silence. After a long while, Wu Lingtian broke the oppressive atmosphere. Third son, have the servants in that palace been arranged? Though only a single word after uttering it, Wu Chengqian's face was filled. Third son, great achievements are not bound by trivialities. They are just some women. If our Wu family truly breaks free from the Cao family, we can have any women we want. Indeed, the women assigned to the Cao family's palace were not ordinary palace maids, but female special forces soldiers specially trained by Wu Chengqian using modern methods. Without exception, they were all orphans without parents, and every one of them was stunningly beautiful. Among them there was one who. These were the women Wu Chengqian had originally intended to keep for himself. But now for the sake of the greater cause he had to reluctantly part with them. Only those who had undergone professional training could guarantee absolute loyalty and not be turned against them. Only they could transmit intelligence promptly and accurately. Rest assured, father, I know what I'm doing. I understand the principle of you can't catch a wolf without risking the bait. By the way, father, what about Empress Mother? Wu Chengqian did not continue, but Wu Lingtian understood his son's meaning. And so, bang! Wu Lingtian's palm struck the desk before him, shattering it. Clearly he was truly enraged at this moment. Yet it was understandable. An ordinary man would go mad if cuckolded, let alone an emperor like him. In fact, when Pei Luoxue descended from the airship, Wu Lingtian had already sensed something amiss about his empress. Though outwardly everything seemed normal, having lived together for centuries, such a self-deceiving trick could hardly escape his perception. At first glance he noticed that Pei Luoxue had become more wanton, coupled with Cao Wenbin's inexplicable defense of Wu Qingfeng. All these signs clearly indicated that his empress had been defiled by that bastard Cao Wenbin. Moreover, the tricks they had tried were certainly not few. What he had never experienced might have already been sampled by Cao Wenbin. Bastards, I will have both your lives. As for Wu Chengfeng, to scheme for the position of heir, he let his own mother sell herself. I would rather give this throne to a dog than to you. While Wu Lingtian was silently fuming, Wu Chengqian, who had successfully provoked him, began to smirk inwardly. That remark was deliberately made by him. As for the purpose, naturally it was to enrage this convenient father. Before his transmigration, he had experienced such things as well. Thus he understood Wu Lingtian's psyche perfectly. If he hadn't brought it up, Wu Lingtian might have let it slide. After all, if no one knows, it's not a cuckold. But once it was pointed out. While Wu Lingtian and his son were scheming against each other, Cao Wenbin, under the flattery of another group, stepped into a luxurious building. This was the Cao family's branch in Tianwu City, which also served as the garrison headquarters. Young master, what is your purpose for coming here? While others called him Xiaozhu, the speaker addressed Cao Wenbin as young master. Clearly this was a direct descendant of the Cao family. Indeed it was so. This man was named Uncle Fu, formerly the steward of the Cao manor. He was at the midstage of quasi-saint. Uncle Fu, I have come this time for the succession of the Tianwu dynasty. Some people are no longer willing to remain. These words were truly earth-shattering, stunning the chief and deputy of this office. Soon the deputy spoke. Young master, has Wu Lingtian developed treacherous intentions? If so, I suggest supporting the third son of the Wu family. He holds great prestige in the Tianwu dynasty and is skilled in various ingenious crafts. If he becomes the sovereign, he will surely bring greater benefits to our Cao family. Hearing this, Cao Wenbin's eyes narrowed. What is your name? Reporting to the young master, I am Song Jia. Believing he had pleased Cao Wenbin, Song Jia's face was full of smiles. From your words, it seems you admire that third son of the Wu family. Scratching his head apologetically, Song Jia said, Young master, to be honest, I do admire him. The things he invented are truly beneficial to our era and future generations. With a slight curl of his lips, Cao Wenbin murmured, You have found your path to death. As his words fell, Cao Wenbin shot a glance at Uncle Fu. Understanding the signal, Uncle Fu struck a palm, shattering Song Jia's heart. Coughing blood, Song Jia looked incredulous. Young master, why did you kill me? Because your stance is wrong. Without waiting for further questions, Cao Wenbin explained, Your words were entirely for the benefit of the common people. But you seem to have forgotten that the Cao family are the vested interests. What I need is not a brilliant sovereign who expands territories and earns the people's praise. What I need is an obedient mediocrity who can preserve our legacy. As for the people, what do I care if they live well or not? As long as they can fill their stomachs, that's enough. Truly, the position determines the mind is a timeless maxim. Different positions lead to different ways of thinking. Hearing this, Song Jia became frantic. The water that bears the boat can also overturn it. If you show no regard for the people, the Cao family will be destroyed sooner or later. Just wait under the leadership of young Master Qingqian. He intended to say more, but his agitation worsened his injuries. Thus his eyes bulged, and he breathed his last. The water that bears the boat can also overturn it. Cao Wenbin curled his lips in disdain. That saying only had use in ancient Blue Star. Uncle Fu sent his direct subordinates and family to accompany him. Clearly Song Jia's final slogan had plunged his loved ones into the abyss. Very well, young master. That night in the main hall of the palace. On ordinary days not a soul would be here at this hour. But today it was brightly lit. The hall was filled with fragrance. The handheld pot invented by the third prince is truly marvelous. Who would have thought that thin slices of meat dipped in sesame paste could be so delicious? And it's more hygienic, far superior to traditional meals. Indeed, it's a blessing for those of us with a penchant for cleanliness. The hall was now fully seated, yet no one dared to pick up their chopsticks. Even Pei Luoxue and Wu Lingtian dared not. Fortunately, Cao Wenbin was punctual. Before the group could chat much, he strode into the hall. "Greetings, young master." Smiling at everyone, Cao Wenbin waved his hand. "Everyone sit down. By the way, have you arranged any entertainment? If so, let them begin performing as soon as possible." Clearly, Cao Wenbin was determined to play the role of a dissolute noble to the hilt. And sure enough, some believed it. "Mother, is this the ally you found? He seems even more unreliable than me." Looking at the guileless Wu Qingfeng, Pei Luoxue gave a helpless, bitter smile. Her son was beyond hope, daring to doubt Cao Wenbin. He was a man who would use any means to achieve his goals. Wasn't her status noble enough? Yet on the airship, Cao Wenbin had fed her "My love is a stick of firewood" the entire way. If not for her quasi-saint cultivation and mental fortitude, she might have been devoured by this wolf in sheep's clothing, leaving not a bone behind. As the mother and son whispered, a troupe of graceful dancers, urged by Cao Wenbin, quickly arrived at the center of the hall. "Young master, this dance was personally choreographed by my son Chengqian not long ago. What do you think?" Without averting his gaze, "Not bad, indeed not bad." This music combined with these movements not only perfectly reveals the dancers' physiques, but also infinitely amplifies their seductiveness. Masterpiece of masterpieces, absolutely a masterpiece. Though his mouth was full of flattery, in his heart, Cao Wenbin had already rolled his eyes countless times. He truly hadn't expected that Wu Chengqian would actually bring the whole girl group routine into this other world. "Ling Tian, I want all 7 of them. Let them attend to my daily needs before I return. By the way, what is the name of that lead dancer woman?" As if he had long anticipated this question, Wu Lingtian answered very quickly. "Young master, you may not know, but these 7 were originally maidservants in your own palace. This performance was just to give them an early debut. As for this lead dancer woman, her name is Qin Yunming." He nodded. At first, Cao Wenbin didn't notice anything amiss, but as he watched, his brows gradually furrowed. It wasn't that there was something wrong with the dance. Rather, the name Qin Yunming, after he muttered it twice, actually stirred a hint of familiarity, as if he had heard it somewhere before. But no matter how he racked his brain, he simply couldn't recall. Where exactly have I heard it? The more he thought, the more agitated Cao Wenbin became. Helpless, he had no choice but to shift his gaze elsewhere. However, when his eyes fell upon Wu Chengqian, his pupils instantly constricted. Then he began to search through his mind for Yijia Longwang. Without any suspense, once he had a direction, Qin Yunming's basic information immediately surfaced before Cao Wenbin's eyes. Qin Yunming, the biological mother of Wu Chengqian. Before Wu Chengqian's rise to glory, she was merely a dancer. It was precisely because of her lowly status that Wu Chengqian had never been competitive in the struggle for the crown prince position. All the other princes didn't even consider him a threat. After Wu Chengqian rose to power, she was trained into a female spy. She was solely responsible for Wu Chengqian's security, and it was the kind of close protection that never left his side day or night. In the later stages, she even became Wu Chengqian's right hand. Under the accumulation of a vast amount of heavenly treasures, her strength ultimately reached the early saint level. What the hell, Wu Chengqian is really willing to go that far, sending his own mother to deal with me? Doesn't he fear? At this moment, Cao Wenbin's lips curled with a hint of sinister intent. Since they had delivered the fat meat right to his mouth, he had absolutely no reason to refuse. "All right, stop dancing. I don't have the habit of sharing women with others. You all go straight to my bedchamber. After I finish my wine." Cao Wenbin's voice was loud, so everyone in the palace immediately broke into suggestive smiles. As men, they naturally understood what would happen next. The only ones present who couldn't laugh were the father-son duo of Wu Chengqian, and Wu Chengqian was lamenting the lost opportunity to return to his homeland. As for Wu Lingtian, he felt that his head seemed to be even. "Chengqian, act quickly, you can't let him continue his arrogance. Otherwise those fence-sitters below will start to have second thoughts." "Good." Taking a deep breath after Qin Yunming and the others had withdrawn from the center of the hall, Wu Chengqian leaped to a spot not far from Cao Wenbin. "Young master, have you heard of the 3 mysteries of Tianwu?" He nodded lightly. Although he had only transmigrated a few days ago, he had indeed heard of this widely circulated interesting matter. The so-called 3 mysteries of Tianwu are actually 3 items that fell from the sky. It is said that once these 3 items are solved, a secret realm will appear near Tianwu City. It was precisely for this reason that the emperor who obtained these 3 items back then almost exhausted the entire nation's resources to solve them. Unfortunately, that emperor spent his entire life without solving even one of the 3 mysteries. Not only him, but subsequent emperors also could do nothing about these 3 mysteries. However, Cao Wenbin knew that Wu Chengqian had already solved 2 of them not long ago. And now bringing this up, it's very likely that he intends to use the last mystery to cause trouble for him. It seems this is a Hongmin banquet. Indeed, just as Cao Wenbin had realized, Wu Chengqian made his move. Young master, I am not talented, but a few days ago, I fortunately solved 2 of the mysteries. But as for the 3rd mystery, I have been completely at a loss. I had already planned to give up. But your appearance, young master, has shown me a new ray. I believe with your intelligence and wisdom this item should not be a challenge for you. Please enlighten me. After saying this, Wu Chengqian respectfully handed over a rope knot. The 3rd prince has actually solved 2 of the 3 mysteries of Tianwu. Heaven truly blesses our dynasty. Under the leadership of the 3rd prince, our Tianwu imperial dynasty will surely make even greater progress. The former emperors can finally rest in peace with a smile. Do you think the young master might solve the 3rd mystery? Absolutely impossible. The young master has high status, not high intelligence. That's right. Since the 3rd prince cannot solve it, it proves the 3rd mystery is Listening to the minister's discussions, Wu Chengqian smiled so hard his eyes almost disappeared. But when he turned around to see Cao Wenbin's embarrassment, he was directly dumbfounded. No. The reason for such terror was that he suddenly realized that in Cao Wenbin's hand somehow an extra sword had appeared. And from Cao Wenbin's movements, it was clear he was going to cut the Qianqian knot. To be honest, if anyone else did this, Wu Chengqian would definitely not. After all the successive ancestors of the Tianwu imperial dynasty had tried it, this rope, knot that fell from the heavens, was extremely tough. Ordinary weapons could not harm it in the slightest. But now the one about to commit the act was Cao Wenbin. Could his sword be an ordinary weapon? Young master, this object can only be untied, but if it's cut, then the secret realm will never appear. It was easy to see that Wu Chengqian was truly anxious. Not only him, but Wu Lingtian was also anxious. In fact, with Wu Lingtian's cultivation at the quasi-sage peak, he was fully capable of stopping Cao Wenbin. But he dared not do so, because from the moment Cao Wenbin drew his sword, he had been locked onto by someone. If he dared make the slightest move, he would absolutely face a thunderous strike. Thus, this ambitious father and son could only watch helplessly as the sword fell upon the Qianqian knot. As for the result, Wu Chengqian was indeed correct. Cao Wenbin's sword was truly no ordinary object. The Qianqian knot, which they considered indestructible, was directly cut in half. Bang! Unable to accept reality, Wu Chengqian sat down heavily on the ground. At the same time, an indescribable feeling slowly emerged in his heart. That feeling was as if something important was leaving him. Young master, why did you do this? After a long while, having composed himself, Wu Chengqian asked with a face full of dejection. He had originally thought that Cao Wenbin would offer some explanation. At the very least, he would make an excuse. But unexpectedly, I don't like things I cannot control. Since it cannot be used for my benefit, then the listening crowd felt a chill in their hearts. So domineering. And the minister's reactions were like pouring salt on Wu Chengqian's wounds, making his heart ache even more. Trying to steal a chicken, but losing the bait instead. On the path leading to the Cao family palace, Cao Wenbin was humming as he walked. Clearly he was in a very good mood. I never expected that just a single banquet could reduce Wu Chengqian's luck by 1/10. But that makes sense. The imperial armament in the secret realm had provided Wu Chengqian with considerable help in the days to come. Without it, Wu Chengqian's strength would indeed be greatly diminished. The more he thought, the more excited Cao Wenbin became. The faster his pace, Defy will not only ruin your opportunities, but also your mother. Qin Yunming's help to Wu Chengqian seems no less than that of the imperial arm. Just wait tonight, I will cut off another of your arms. As luck would have it, just as Cao Wenbin made up his mind, his figure had already arrived before. Greetings, young master. The 7 dancers who had been waiting for a long time immediately bowed to him. For a moment, Cao Wenbin was dazzled. And the one with the most assets was actually Qin Yunming. No wonder that fellow Wu Chengqian would go home every day, even at great risk. With a sinister smile, Cao Wenbin then led the 7 into the palace. Of course, during this process, Qin Yunming was already pulled into Cao Wenbin's embrace. Young master, there are others present. What's there to fear? None of you can escape anyway. If they laugh at you, you can laugh at them later. Watching Cao Wenbin stride, without pause, straight to the bedroom, Qin Yunming knew that she absolutely could not escape today. Having no choice, she could only give the other 6 a meaningful glance. She was reminding her companions not to forget to eavesdrop. Since sacrifice was inevitable, she naturally had to get some return. She planned to extract more information while Cao Wenbin was not fully conscious. In this way, her son's chances of victory would be greater. After all, knowing oneself and the enemy leads to victory in every battle. Son, rest assured, I will never lose myself. The future of this Tianwu imperial dynasty is destined to be under your rule. Early the next morning at the 3rd prince's mansion. Speak. What happened last night within the Cao family palace? Upon hearing this question, the eunuch who had come to report fell to his knees with a thud. Sweat beaded on his forehead, pouring down like rain, desperately streaming away. Why did I ever compete for this post? The eunuch's birth name was Little Chunzi. Originally a dish server in the imperial kitchen, he had only joined Wu Qingqian's ranks 2 days prior. And because he was quick-witted, he was entrusted with a significant task right away. Little Chunzi had thought this would be his chance to rise to prominence. After all, delivering intelligence was the work of trusted confidants. But upon receiving the information, he realized it was a death-defying mission. What are you hesitating for? Spit out the intelligence at once, or I'll have your skin flayed. Little Chunzi gave a helpless smile, then closed his eyes and shouted loudly. Last night after Cao Wenbin returned to the palace, he took Qin Yunming straight to the bedchamber. Within a quarter of an hour, shouts arose from within the room, continuing unabated through the night. Silence. The entire room was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Little Chunzi had thought he was doomed, but unexpectedly. You may go. Report back promptly if you obtain any further information. Overjoyed, Little Chunzi kowtowed 3 times and slipped out of the room. Once he was alone, Wu Chengxian could no longer contain himself. With a series of crashes, he smashed everything breakable and unbreakable alike. Yet even so, his anger remained unabated. Thus, with a flicker of his figure, he headed straight for the rear mountain. Clearly, Wu Chengxian intended to vent further there. But amusingly, no sooner had he slipped into the rear mountain than a sudden vortex appeared and sucked him in. What? You say the third prince has vanished? It must be said that Wu Lingtian truly valued Wu Chengxian. Within just an hour of his disappearance, Wu Lingtian had already received, and so the sovereign of the Tianwu imperial dynasty flew into a rage. Speak. What happened before the third prince vanished? Glancing at his furious master, the imperial guard commander swallowed his saliva before speaking softly. Your Majesty, 2 hours ago the third prince received information from the Cao family palace. Immediately afterward, he rushed to the rear mountain. After that, all traces of him were lost. Wu Lingtian paused, then frowned. Information from the Cao family palace. What information? The Imperial Guard commander's mouth twitched, but he forced himself to say, according to our investigation, it was about the third prince's mother engaging in an all-night battle with Cao Wenbin. All night. So the third prince's disappearance has nothing to do with Cao Wenbin. The commander nodded affirmatively, correct, because the shouts from the Cao family palace haven't stopped yet. Hearing the confirmation, Wu Lingtian breathed a long sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't related to the Cao family, it was manageable. After all, in this domain of the Tianwu imperial dynasty, no one but the Cao family would dare lay a hand on Wu Chengxian. No doubt that boy Chengxian must have encountered another stroke of fortune. At this thought, Wu Lingtian became excited. The green glow over his head seemed to have faded somewhat because of this. At the Cao family palace, when Cao Wenbin and Qin Yunming reappeared, the sun was already high in the sky. You two go to the imperial kitchen and fetch some food. Remember, I don't eat mushrooms. You two go outside and repair the garden. As for you. With a series of orders, Qin Yunming's 6 comrades were soon dispatched by Cao Wenbin. And after the last one left to carry out his orders, Cao Wenbin suddenly asked, so are you convinced? With a thud as if by conditioned reflex, Qin Yunming dropped to her knees. At the same time, her large eyes were filled with terror. She had never imagined that a man's stamina could be so formidable. Logically, as a woman of experience, she should have been unafraid of such matters, but now she was truly terrified. I am convinced. From now on, whatever you command, I will obey without question. He nodded with satisfaction, seeing that his efforts the previous night had not been in vain. What if I ask you to deal with Wu Chengxian? Qin Yunming was startled, and pain flickered in her eyes. Young master, please spare Chengxian. He is an obedient child, and very capable. I guarantee that if you help him ascend to power, he will surely bring you a peaceful era. Moreover, with me here, you need not worry about his loyalty. Hearing these words, Cao Wenbin couldn't help but laugh. This Qin Yunming was quite conceited. She never considered that if Wu Chengxian truly cared for her, would he have sent her as a spy? From what you're saying, you want to be the bridge between me and Wu Chengxian. Cao Wenbin sneered at first, then said indifferently, do you think if I recall correctly, that cheap son of yours has already asked you several times to destroy the spawn point, hasn't he? He thinks that way, and you still believe you're important. Qin Yunming fell silent. At the same time, a sense of dread crept into her heart. The man before her even knew about such a secret. Didn't that mean her identity as a mole? Just as her mind was in turmoil, Cao Wenbin struck her with another blow. Oh, I forgot to tell you. That cheap son of yours, in essence, is no longer your son. The body remains the same, but the soul has been replaced. Otherwise, how could he have changed so drastically? All right, that's all I can say. Consider your next move yourself. With that, Cao Wenbin walked out alone. For a moment, the vast palace was left with only Qin Yunming kneeling there in bewilderment. Of course, in the shadows, Shui Ro was keeping a close. Her orders were to kill Qin Yunming the moment she dared step out of the palace. Young master, this. Waving his hand, Cao Wenbin directly interrupted Wu Lingtian's words. Take me to the library. Wu Lingtian, who had been fawning, flashed a flicker of anger in his eyes upon hearing this. The library. That place was the utmost priority for any faction. Even if you were the young master, you couldn't make such an excessive request. But Wu Lingtian dared not refuse. So with a roll of his eyes, he promptly shifted the responsibility. Young master, you know the importance of the library. It's managed by our clan's ancestor. What do you think? Shooting a playful glance at Wu Lingtian, Cao Wenbin said calmly, just take me there. As for the rest, I'll handle it myself. Trying to use the ancestor to pressure him. Dream on. No matter how strong the Wu clan ancestor was, could he be stronger than the 6 ancestors? Then young master. Thus the two walked one after another toward the depths of the imperial palace. Initially Cao Wenbin thought they would arrive soon, but unexpectedly the walk took a full 10 minutes. Is Wu Lingtian leading me in circles? Thinking of this possibility, Cao Wenbin's face darkened. But before he could lose his temper, a tower-shaped building appeared before him. Then a gaunt zombie-like old man with an extremely terrifying aura stood before them. Young master, what is your purpose here? The old man ignored Wu Lingtian and fixed his gaze on Cao Wenbin. I want to go inside and take a look. After all, stones from other hills can polish jade. Young master, feel free. You may read any book inside. The anticipated clash did not occur. The Wu clan ancestor's attitude was even more accommodating than Wu Lingtian's. Excellent. If I gain something inside, I will reward you handsomely when I come out. Though puzzled why the old man was so agreeable since he gave his consent, Cao Wenbin didn't stir up trouble. After leaving a polite remark, he dashed straight into the library. Ancestor, you're being too irresponsible. Not only Cao Wenbin, but Wu Lingtian too was baffled. So once Cao Wenbin's figure disappeared, he asked in frustration. Alas, we can't stop him. I sensed a trace of imperial aura on this young man. Instinct tells me that if we obstruct him, something extremely dreadful will happen. But don't worry too much. He won't gain anything. As he said this, the Wu clan ancestor's face was filled with a sardonic expression. You have a contingency plan, ancestor. He nodded lightly. After you sent me the message, I immediately began preparations. All the important books in the library have been moved. As for the rest, they're just common stuff. It must be said, the older the more cunning. This way they satisfied Cao Wenbin's request without any loss. But what the two didn't know was that Cao Wenbin's visit wasn't to read the Cao clan's texts at all. He was here to seize Wu Chengqian's opportunity. According to the records of the Dragon King of another world, on the top floor of the library, there was a tattered book used to prop up a table leg. For millennia, no one had paid it any attention. Yet it was a relic left by the Devouring Heaven Emperor, containing the Devouring Heaven demon art, a technique that strengthened oneself by devouring others. While the two Wu men chuckled at their own cleverness, Cao Wenbin had already taken it for himself and begun to cultivate. 5 days later, in the imperial study. Qingqian, where have you been these past few days? Seeing his son appear suddenly, Wu Lingtian was deep. To be honest, he truly feared that this son might meet with some mishap. After all, it was only through this lad that he could see hope of breaking free from the Cao family's grip. Your Majesty, I stumbled upon a hidden realm by chance. After several days of exploration, I gained considerable benefits. The greatest harvest was receiving a saint-level inheritance. His words were half-truths skirting the critical points. There was indeed a saint-level inheritance within that hidden realm. But the best prize was a low-grade imperial artifact, the demon-suppressing pagoda. A saint-level inheritance. What tier? Peak level. Wu Lingtian's eyes blazed with light. Did this mean that in the near future their Wu family could possess a peak saint-level powerhouse? Excellent. At this moment Wu Lingtian was utterly elated. But soon he spoke with earnest gravity. Qingqian, though your fortunes are extraordinary, you must not slack off. After all, cultivation is like sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you retreat. Rest assured, father, I have a clear plan. Wu Lingtian nodded with satisfaction. This son truly put his mind at ease. That's good. All right, judging by your expression, you still have matters to attend to. In that case, go ahead and handle them. Thank you, father. As his voice fell, Wu Chengqian's figure vanished from the spot. Judging by his speed, his strength had clearly advanced yet again. This lad. Though without evidence, Wu Lingtian knew that his son was surely off to see his mother. And indeed, that was the case. Outside the Cao family palace. Dugu. Dugu. No sooner had the sound traveled out than a slender figure cautiously crept over. Mother. Wu Chengqian, hidden in the shadows, was brimming with excitement. Without a second word, he immediately sought to embrace Qin Yun. But before his arms could close around her, Qin Yunming slipped away. This. Wu Chengqian was dumbfounded. This was a scenario he had never anticipated. But before his arms could close around her, Qin Yunming slipped away. This. Wu Chengqian was dumb. What was wrong today? Qingqian, Cao Wenbin is an extremely sensitive man. If I had contact with any other male, he would surely detect it. Hearing this explanation, Wu Chengqian let out a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness. His mother had not defected to the enemy. It seemed he had been overthinking. And so, don't worry. A mere trace of scent is nothing. I have 100 ways to eliminate it. If it comes to it, we can just abandon the undercover mission. At that moment, Wu Chengqian was truly stirred. Meanwhile, snippets of short stories from his past life surfaced one by one in his mind. Those plots. But before he could reach Qin Yunming's side, a voice that sent chills down his spine reached his ears. If I recall correctly, you are the third prince, aren't you? What exactly are you doing here? Turning his head with immense difficulty, and upon confirming that the newcomer was indeed Cao Wenbin, Wu Chengqian forced a smile uglier than tears. So it's the young master. You might not be aware, but this dancer of yours is actually my birth mother. I just met with the emperor, so I thought I'd drop by to see her. Cao Wenbin smiled wryly. Is that so? Then I'll have to cherish Yunming even more from now on. After all this status, it's quite thrilling to think about. At these words, Wu Chengqian's nails dug into his flesh. Cao Wenbin, I swear I'll never rest until you're destroyed. The crime of violating my birthplace. This is an irreconcilable enmity. Of course, as he thought this on the surface, Wu Chengqian dared not show a trace of it. On the contrary, he even put on a delighted expression. Then I thanked the young master. With that, he dared not linger any longer. After uttering a few auspicious words, he departed directly. So have you come around? Watching Wu Chengqian's retreating figure, Cao Wenbin inquired with cold indifference. Yes, young master, I have seen reason. From now on, I will follow your lead. Even if you order me to deal with Wu Chengqian, I will not utter a single But young master, I have one request. He nodded. Speak. After Wu Chengqian dies, I hope you will grant him a whole burial. After all, he is flesh of my flesh. No problem. Such a trivial matter Cao Wenbin naturally would not refuse. Yet he did not take the woman's words at face value. After all, the human heart is a treacherous thing, and he had watched the film Infernal Affairs several times. By the way, words alone are meaningless. Answer me a question as a token of your allegiance. How about it? Ask away. Where is the laboratory where Wu Chengqian invents all those things? It's in Buckingham Palace. That's a brothel he runs. But that brothel is peculiar. It only receives guests he approves of. It never takes walk-in customers. As for the laboratory, it's located beneath the brothel. Nightfall. Young master, you finally arrived. This Platinum Palace has been closed for days, just for you. The girls inside have been waiting like stone statues, longing for their husbands. I'll tell you secretly, every one of them is untouched. Though his face was beaming with smiles, Wu Chengqian's heart was bleeding. Because Cao Wenbin hadn't come alone. By his side, Qin Yunming was tightly following. Cao Wenbin, oh Cao Wenbin, you're giving me an opportunity. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. I don't believe you'll keep my mother by your side when you're having fun. Thinking this, a green gleam flashed in Wu Chengqian's eyes. As for whether Cao Wenbin would lose himself here, that was never a concern for Wu Chengqian. In his view, the people of this world were all country bumpkins. How could they resist the women in the club? Those wearing spaghetti-strap bodycon dresses, gray silk stockings, and red-bottom high heels. And indeed, it was just as he imagined. When the trio stepped into the lobby of the Platinum Palace, and the receptionist Chi-Chi called out, able to drink, able to sing, touch, without restraint, Cao Wenbin's eyes went wide. But the reason for Cao Wenbin's days was completely different from what Wu Chengqian thought. Damn, this guy even invented electric lights. Truly worthy of a mechanical engineering PhD, his knowledge is damn profound. Indeed, a crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling. Because of it, the room's prestige was elevated several levels in an instant. Just as Cao Wenbin was silently marveling, a woman in a black deep V gown, with a figure so stunning, it was explosive, gracefully approached the trio. Boss, Yunyu Pavilion is ready. Would you like? He waved his hand. Lead the way, we'll go now. Certainly. With that, the woman turned and walked toward the stairs. As if she knew someone would be watching, she swayed her hips so vigorously that they almost became a blur. Young master, what do you think of the quality? Cao Wenbin, pretending to be a lustful fool, nodded. Without hesitation. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Not only are they slender, but their lights are damn huge too. By the way, do you have any more of those clothes the women are wearing? Can you give me a few sets when I leave? As he spoke, Cao Wenbin draped his arm over Wu Chengqian's shoulder. His enthusiasm was as if he were about to swear brotherhood with Wu Chengqian at any moment. That's nothing. Forget just a few sets. I'll have 100 delivered to your mansion right away. That would be wonderful. And so, chatting as they walked, they soon arrived at the so-called Yunyu Pavilion. Unlike the gaudy splendor outside, the private room was lit only by a few small violet night lights. Moreover, the color of the bulbs kept shifting, sometimes pink, sometimes blue. Hell, isn't this just a KTV box? It seems that before his transmigration, this engineering PhD hadn't visited many clubs. His imagination is far too limited. Though he was scornful when the words reached his lips, they transformed into not bad, not bad. This room is sensual enough. Nothing will hinder the fun once we start. By the way, Chengqian, what about the show you've prepared? Let's get started. Glancing at the impatient Cao Wenbin, a flicker of disdain quickly passed through Wu Chengqian's eyes. Through their interactions, he had discovered that this supreme young master was nothing but a lecherous glutton. And as the heir of the prime minister, he couldn't resist married women. Weaknesses are good. As long as there are weaknesses, even a great emperor is nothing to fear. At this moment, Wu Chengqian was brimming with. He could almost see himself overthrowing the Cao family and ruling the central continent with heroic ferocity. Cao Wenbin, enjoy your moment. You never would have guessed that I too am the heir of the Prime Minister. After I destroy you, I'll take good care of your women. Like Cao Wenbin, though his mind was churning, Wu Chengxian didn't slack off on what needed to be done. Clap, clap. As the sound of applause rang out, a line of women in skimpy outfits with heels as tall as their lives filed in. Good evening. As the words fell, the 10 women bowed in unison. Their cleavage nearly sucked Cao Wenbin's soul away. Young master, any that catch your fancy? He waved his hand, lightly. Bring the next batch. None of them are destined for me. Even without Cao Wenbin saying it, Wu Chengxian had already guessed the answer. After all, the women in this batch were all young girls not matching Cao Wenbin's taste. So the second batch, which had been waiting, came in to replace but unfortunately this batch still didn't have Cao Wenbin's dish. Xingqian, your platinum palace isn't as good as you claimed. The moment Cao Wenbin's words of complaint left his mouth, Wu Chengxian was instantly thrown into panic. It wasn't that he feared Cao Wenbin's anger, but rather that Cao Wenbin might find the place uninteresting and simply walk away. If that happened, he would lose his chance to return to the spawn point. Young master, wait a moment. He'll step out to make arrangements. Cao Wenbin said nothing, but anyone could see that his silence signified tacit consent. Thus, without another word, Wu Chengxian dashed out. Outside the room. What the hell are you doing? Sending these little girls to test a cadre. Which cadre could withstand such a test? The one being scolded with a finger pointed at her nose was the beauty who had led them in. Her name was Lu Hanyan, the manager of this establishment, the Buckingham Palace. She was one of Wu Chengxian's trusted confidants. Because of this, she wasn't particularly flustered. Young master, you're blaming me unfairly. Those who just went in are the top-tier beauties we have here. Wu Chengxian was taken aback. But soon he realized that this woman had yet to grasp Cao Wenbin's particular tastes. Thus, in utter desperation, he had to spell it out. This client has a special preference. He's not into young girls, he only likes married women. So the next group that goes in must be women with mature allure. No more of these little girls. Having said that, Wu Chengxian prepared to return to in his view, having spelled it out so clearly with Lu Hanyan's capabilities, the matter should have been settled without further trouble. And he could then prepare for his return to the spawn point. But before he could even decide on the posture head use later, Lu Hanyan doused him with a bucket of cold water. Young master, the Buckingham Palace doesn't have beauties of this type. You gave strict orders before. We only recruit those who are untouched. Even if someone's seal is broken here, we have to give them severance pay and send them off promptly. Wu Chengxian halted mid-step, then asked in a chilling tone, not a single one. Truly none. Initially, Lu Hanyan had assumed that her young master would join her in brainstorming a solution to the predicament at hand. But instead what she received was a cold and ruthless command. Since there's none, then you'll go yourself. Remember, before you enter, put on a stepmother dress, flesh-colored stockings, and strap in high heels. That way you can maximize your charm. Truly worthy of being an heir to a minister, Wu Chengxian certainly knew the ins and outs of this game. If Lu Hanyan actually did that, Cao Wenbin might indeed find it hard to resist. However, upon hearing this speech, Lu Hanyan made no move. You want me to accompany a client? Lu Hanyan's eyes were filled with disbelief. How could this man be so heartless? Hadn't he just sworn yesterday, vowing that the mountains would crumble and the sky would fall before he would part with her? It hadn't even been 24 hours, and he was already changing his tune. Were men's words truly nothing but lies to deceive? What is that not acceptable? I'm telling you, no matter what method you use today, you must get that man inside to break and ensure he never leaves your sight for the entire night. If not, I'll strip you naked and throw you into the slums. Clearly by this point, Wu Chengxian was utterly obsessed with reaching the spawn point. Fine, I'll go, alright. With that, Lu Hanyan ran toward the cloakroom not far away. Inside, all the gear Wu Chengxian had mentioned was stored, but as she turned around, her expression shifted. The pain vanished from her face, replaced by an endless, icy coldness. Wu Chengxian, since you show no mercy, don't blame me for being ruthless. You want to give me away? Then after tonight, it'll no longer be yours. My seal is still intact. Am I afraid I can't find a new patron? Inside the room, all arranged, Cao Wenbin's expression was one of great displeasure, as if he might get up and leave at any moment. And this act successfully deceived Wu Chengxian, who had already lost his composure. Young master, don't rush. 3 minutes at most, 3. The person coming in shortly will surely meet your expectations. Then he'll wait 3 minutes. Hearing this, Wu Chengxian let out a long sigh. Good. There was still hope of returning to the spawn point. And as Lu Hanyan, dressed in a purple stepmother dress as he had instructed, entered the private room, his heart grew even more at ease. Because the situation unfolded almost exactly as he had. The only thing that irked him was that Cao Wenbin was indulging in having both women by his side. Even after pulling Lu Hanyan into his embrace, he didn't let go of his own mother. Young master, are you satisfied with this one? Satisfied, very satisfied. Chengxian, rest assured, I won't forget today's favor. On the surface, Cao Wenbin looked like a lecher, practically drooling. But in his heart, he was already rejoicing. Others might not know the value of Lu Hanyan, seeing her merely as a stunningly beautiful madam. But Cao Wenbin, who possessed the Dragon King of another realm, was well aware of just how formidable this woman truly was. She, like Qin Yunming, was one of Wu Chengqian's right-hand aides. However, unlike Qin Yunming, who had the potential to ascend to the saint level, Lu Hanyan's talent lay in governance. Years later, when Wu Chengqian ascended the throne as emperor, this woman would be appointed as prime minister. Her capabilities were so extraordinary that Wu Chengqian himself praised her as the marquis of the age. Wu Chengqian, oh Wu Chengqian, you are digging your own grave. Of course, while silently mocking him, Cao Wenbin was not idle. In just a few minutes, Lu Hanyan was beside herself. Esteemed guest, let us share a drink. Unable to stand by any longer, Wu Chengqian immediately chimed in to support her. Indeed, young master, what fun is there in just touching? I have prepared a room upstairs for you. If you can no longer restrain yourself, you may go there to rest. As he spoke these words, Wu Chengqian's eyes gleamed with excitement. He was well aware that the moment Cao Wenbin went upstairs, Qin Yunming would be left alone, and that would be the perfect moment for his own wish to come true. But unfortunately, Cao Wenbin did not follow his script. You brat, you don't understand a thing. A fine dish must be savored. Being too direct, what fun is there in that? Having said this, Cao Wenbin began to amuse himself, paying no further attention to Wu Ch until, boom. What was that sound? Cao Wenbin, who had just finished drinking the nuptial cup with Lu Hanyan, shot to his feet the instant the thunderous noise erupted. The expression on his face shifted from its previous lasciviousness to one of terror. However, if one looked closely, it was not hard to see that this was all an act. The irrepressible mirth in his eyes was his true emotion. Under normal circumstances, the exceptionally astute Wu Chengqian would likely have noticed this flaw. But at this very moment, Wu Chengqian had no time to dwell on such trivial details, for he had already discerned that the explosion came from. This meant that something had happened to his underground laboratory. In an instant, all those miscellaneous thoughts were cast from his mind. Bowing slightly to Cao Wenbin, Wu Chengqian said with a face full of anxiety, "Young master, judging by the sound, it seems something has happened to the underground storage. My sincerest apologies for interrupting your pleasure. What do you think?" Cao Wenbin waved his hand. "Business is paramount. Go attend to your affairs. I should be heading back anyway. Oh, and I'd like to take this woman with me directly. You have no objections to you?" Though his heart was bleeding, Wu Chengqian gritted his teeth and nodded. Cao Wenbin's request was perfectly reasonable. He could find not a single ground for objection. Since the young master is reluctant to part with her, by all means take her away. And that was precisely what Cao Wenbin had been waiting for. Without any hesitation, he took one woman by each hand and quickly disappeared from that on the road. "Young master, everything that happened tonight was orchestrated by you, wasn't it?" It must be said Lu Hanyan's insight was truly so little time had passed, yet she had already perceived everything. Sometimes it's better for a person to be a little foolish. Otherwise their life might be in danger. Hearing this half-threatening remark, Lu Hanyan smiled. "The young master will not kill me." Cao Wenbin raised an eyebrow. "What makes you so confident? You don't think this body of yours can save your life, do you, eh?" Lu Hanyan gently shook her head, her smile undiminished. "Of course not. A mere vessel. Given the young master's status, what kind could you not obtain? My confidence lies in my mind." Originally, Cao Wenbin had intended to exchange a few more words with this female Zhuge. But just as a new topic was about to leave his lips, a petite figure suddenly descended beside them. In that instant, both women's hearts leaped into their throats. They feared that their scheme had been discovered, and that Wu Chengqian had sent an expert to intercept them. However, Cao Wenbin was extremely calm. "Is it done?" Indeed, the newcomer was his protector Shui Ro. "Yes, young master. Everything in that underground chamber that could be taken I have stored in the spirit pouch. As for what could not be taken, I have smashed it all. Oh, young master, I also captured a prisoner on the way. A quasi-saint." The moment he perceived this person's cultivation, Cao Wenbin deduced, if he was not mistaken, this should be the quasi-saint that Wu Chengqian had revived. "Truly, I found him by chance without even searching." At this moment, Cao Wenbin laughed genuinely. The devouring heaven demon art, this peerless technique, will finally have its use. Wu Chengqian, you never imagined that your trump card would soon become my nourishment. A day later in the imperial study. "Is the mess cleaned up?" Upon hearing the door open, Wu Lingtian, who had been reading, immediately pressed for an answer. Clearly he already knew what had transpired at Buckingham Palace. But then again, as the celestial emperor of Tianwu, very few things within Tianwu city could escape his notice. Hearing this, Wu Chengqian forced a smile that was uglier than tears. "It's cleaned up, but that lab is completely destroyed." Frowning, a flash of fury quickly darted through Wu Lingtian's eyes. He understood the lab's importance better than anyone. Without exaggeration, he wouldn't trade that lab, even for a saint-level expert. Yet such a vital place was destroyed without cause. And the culprit still roamed free. "If we mobilize the nation's resources, how long do you estimate it would take to rebuild the lab?" "A month." Wu Lingtian let out a long sigh. Thankfully, the time wasn't too long. It was a silver lining in this unfortunate affair. "By the way, Chengqian, who do you think the culprit is, eh?" Wu Chengqian fell silent. He had pondered this question all day, but still had no answer. Sigh. Wu Lingtian sighed in disappointment at his son's lack of insight. Then with a hint of exasperation he asked, "Don't you think Cao Wenbin's timing in showing up at Buckingham Palace is a bit too coincidental?" Wu Chengxian was momentarily stunned, but seconds later his entire body began to tremble. Of course, he wasn't having a seizure. It was from sheer rage. "Father, do you mean that Cao Wenbin didn't go to Buckingham Palace for pleasure, but to divert my attention?" Wu Lingtian smiled with relief. No wonder he was his most favored son, he was indeed sharp. He grasped things instantly. "Isn't it obvious? Don't forget your lab had a quasi-saint guarding it. In all of Tianwu City, who else but Cao Wenbin could eliminate a quasi-saint without a sound?" Pausing here, Wu Lingtian soon resumed his lecture. "Qingxian, some things must be let go when necessary. If you truly can't let go, then set them aside for now. It's never too late to revisit them once your strength has grown." Clearly this was another piece of advice. Wu Chengxian understood it well, but he chose not to follow the thread, instead shifting the topic. "Father, what should we do next?" This time it was Wu Lingxian's turn to fall silent. Cao Wenbin's strategy was obvious, a slow, grinding attrition to chip away at them. With the backing of the Cao family, this tactic was an insurmountable open scheme, leaving them no room to resist. Yet as the Emperor, Wu Lingtian would not surrender. If there was no path ahead, he would forge one. With this thought, a kingly aura began to emanate from Wu Lingtian. "It seems our only choice is to cut the Gordian knot." Wu Chengxian shuddered. "Father, you mean?" Before he could finish, Wu Lingtian interjected, "Exactly, I intend to eliminate this so-called young master. Of course we can't act recklessly. The best plan is to lure Cao Wenbin into a secret realm that restricts one's power. That way he'll have no one to turn to." Without raising any objections, Wu Chengxian simply gave Wu Lingtian a thumbs up. This plan was absolutely brilliant. It would not only eliminate the threat, but also avoid drawing any fire. After all, dying in a secret realm was perfectly normal, wasn't it? "Let's do as you say, Father. As it happens, I have a secret realm that restricts power." The more they discussed it, the more excited the father and son became. They looked as if Cao Wenbin was already a fish on their chopping board. At the same time, in the Emperor's palace. "Mother, the situation is urgent, and you can still read. Do you know that the third prince has already sent 2 beauties to the young master in the past few days? One of them is even his own mother. If we don't act, the ally we brought in will soon become our enemy." Pei Luoxue glanced at the pacing Wu Chengfeng and shook her head. How could someone as scheming as her have given birth to such a fool? Was it a genetic mutation? "You little brat, rest assured. Even if Wu Chengxian sent 200 women, Cao Wenbin would still only help us. Because our price is higher." Pei Luoxue was extremely confident in her allure. She didn't believe any woman could surpass her appeal. "Your price is higher. Mother, what exactly did you promise Cao Wenbin?" "You don't need to worry about that. Just wait patiently to become the crown prince." "Kill me. Please kill me." Unlike the usual moans, the Cao family palace had been filled with agonized wails in recent days. And the cries grew more piercing with each passing day. The women had resigned themselves to falling asleep to such harrowing sounds tonight. Yet to their surprise, as darkness fully descended, the eerie noises vanished without a trace. "Finally, we can have a good night's sleep." The women let out a collective sigh of relief. They assumed Cao Wenbin would not emerge from seclusion tonight. After all, regardless of the cultivation technique, one needed time to stabilize after achieving success. But just as they were about to return to their rooms, the door to the master bedroom was suddenly pushed open. Then Cao Wenbin's figure appeared before them. "Young master." Shui Rou intended to greet him. Yet before she could finish, she froze in place. She was startled to realize that her young master's aura had surged dramatically in just a few short days. Peak golden core. Shui Rou's face was filled with shock. If she remembered correctly, her young master was at the peak of the Xiantian realm before entering seclusion, crossing 2 major realms in a matter of days. Had he consumed an immortal pill? "Young master, you." He waved his hand dismissively. "Just a technique that allows me to absorb others' cultivation for my own use. Nothing worth mentioning." Shui Rou's eyes gleamed brightly, and her entire body trembled uncontrollably. If there was one thing that had troubled the Cao family most in recent years, it was undoubtedly the young master's low cultivation level. But with this technique, all those problems ceased to exist. A quasi-sage had allowed the young master to leap across 2 major realms if they captured an emperor. With this thought, Shui Rou quickly advised, "Young master, since you possess such a technique, you must make good use of it. Why not send word to the family now and have the clan's ancestor capture an emperor for you? For your sake, I believe the ancestors would be willing." Hearing this, Qin Yunming and Lu Hanyan were utterly stunned. Capture an emperor for cultivation. What kind of outrageous talk was this? Not only them, but Cao Wenbin was also taken aback. Capturing an emperor might not be difficult for the Cao family, but the ensuing repercussions would be far from easy to bear. True, he did not fear the common people rising against him, but he dreaded all cultivators uniting against him. How many emperors were there in the entire central continent? If the Cao family captured one, without reason the remaining emperors would surely feel threatened. They would form an alliance to resist the Cao family. However, Aunt Shue's words are not without merit, but it requires careful consideration. If an emperor provokes me, then I will act. Though he thought this, Cao Wenbin still shot Shuero a glare. This woman whom his father had pined for his entire life was perfect in every way except for being too outspoken. Even if that was the plan, one should never say it aloud. Did she not understand the principle of making a fortune in silence? Thus, to teach her a lesson, Cao Wenbin pulled her into his arms. With other women, it would have been a simple embrace. But Shuero was different. Standing at only 1.58 meters, she was incredibly petite. When Cao Wenbin exerted force, she turned into a koala. She instantly clung to his chest. Her arms wrapped around his neck and her fair legs coiled around his waist. When Cao Wenbin exerted force, she turned into a koala. She instantly clung to his chest. Her arms, young master, you are overstepping. I am the mistress dowry maid. According to propriety, I belong to the master. She should not have brought this up. The moment she mentioned it, Cao Wenbin became even more agitated. Don't wait for my father. In this life he will only dote on my mother. Unsurprisingly, Shuero was amused. But despite her laughter, she knew it was the truth. Over 100 years had passed, and Cao Zian had exhausted every scheme to win her over. He had created countless opportunities. Yet not a single one succeeded. At every critical moment, Lin Shirin would always appear. As Shuero reminisced, Cao Wenbin had already made it. Of course, to avoid an awkward atmosphere, he kept talking while his hands wandered. By the way, Aunt Shue, did anything major happen in Tianwu City while I was in seclusion? Suppressing the discomfort in her body, Shuero blushed and answered in a voice as faint as a mosquito's. Young master, many significant events have occurred in the city recently, but only two concern us. One is that a few days ago someone discovered a secret realm in the forest north of the city. According to the stele at the entrance, this realm is the burial ground of the devouring heaven emperor. It will open in 3 days. Only those below the human king realm may enter. 2 days ago, the third prince sent a letter inquiring if the young master was interested in exploring the realm together. If it were any other secret realm, Cao Wenbin would have absolutely no interest in it. After all, his Cao family lacks no foundation. The burial ground of an emperor sounded prestigious, but in the end it was merely an ancient tomb. His Cao family even had several living emperors, so why would they need to play the role of grave robbers? However, if this tomb belonged to the devouring heaven emperor, that was a different matter entirely. If he could find something within that matched the devouring heaven divine art, it would undoubtedly greatly enhance his power. As for the second matter, starting 5 days ago, someone from the imperial consort's palace has been asking daily whether the young master has emerged from seclusion. Calculating the time, Shuero did not finish her words, for the people from the imperial consort's palace had already arrived. Young master, my lady requests your presence at her residence for a conversation. Right now. Glancing at the sky outside, Cao Wenbin's face showed utter disbelief. If it were daytime, he could barely accept it. But it was nighttime now. Hadn't that woman always been wary of him? Yes, young master. My latest exact words were that once you emerge from seclusion, you should come as soon as possible. A sharp glint flashed in Cao Wenbin's eyes, and without a second word, he rushed straight out. Shuero, whom he had set down with lightning speed, wore a face full of displeasure. He hasn't even eaten what's in his bowl, yet he's always thinking about what's in the pot. Brat, just you wait. Next time you want to taste if I let you have it so easily. My name isn't Shuero. Clearly Shuero was jealous. Yet little did she know Cao Wenbin's haste was not solely to satisfy his desires. Lighting up the myriad beauties record to obtain rewards, that was what he valued most. Now a core formation cultivator, Cao Wenbin was undeniably swift. Coupled with the fact that the two palaces were not far apart, he reached his destination in just a few minutes. Aunt Pei, have you finally come around? Come, let me see if you've lost weight lately. Pei Luoxue, who was reading a book on a lounge chair, rolled her eyes helplessly. Indeed, a leopard cannot change its spots. He was still as eager to take advantage of her as ever. Yet facing his outstretched hand, she did not stop him. Instead, she adjusted her reclining posture. Clearly, she had a significant goal this time. And indeed, that was the case. Young master, Before she could finish, Cao Wenbin raised a hand to interrupt her. Aunt Pei, it's best you don't speak. You have no bargaining chips left. So, he left the rest unsaid, but a hint was enough for the wise. The highly intelligent Pei Luoxue immediately grasped his meaning. It seems I'll have to wait until feelings develop before I can ask for a fief. Indeed, what she sought this time was a fief. 5 days ago, the ancestor of her Pei family had, by a stroke of fortune, suddenly broken through to the saint level. Now the entire Pei family swelled with arrogance, with most of its younger members clamoring to establish a kingdom. Yet lacking the strength, they dared not rebel against the Wu family. Thus they had to settle for the next best thing, asking the Cao family to grant them an unclaimed territory. Of course, given their standing, they had no direct access to the Cao family. So Pei Luoxue, who had married into another family, became their last lifeline. Originally, she had no desire to wade into this murky water, but the moment her refusal left her lips, her parents immediately threw a fit complete with tears, tantrums, and threats of suicide. Her younger brother went even further, kneeling before her and refusing to rise. Left with no choice, she agreed to try, barely managing to send her parents and brother away. Circumstances dictate actions. I can't afford to be coy any longer. Oh well, it's the same whether I give it sooner or later. Once there's a glimmer of progress in Qingfeng's matter, I'll find an opportunity to give myself up. With that thought, Pei Luoxue narrowed her eyes and began to act coy. Young master, my legs are a bit uncomfortable. Aren't you skilled in massage? Could you help me with a rub? As she spoke, Pei Luox's face grew redder. Some embarrassing scenes from the airship in the past resurfaced in her mind. Sure. Cao Wenbin, however, cared little about her thoughts. In his view, missing a chance to gain an advantage was simply foolish. So the moment Pei Luox's voice fell, his large hand immediately landed on her slender legs. After learning that Cao Wenbin was coming, Pei Luoxue dismissed all the palace maids from the hall. That was why the two dared to indulge in such. Later on, they even took to indulging in foot massage. Yet what Cao Wenbin and Pei Luoxue did not know was that every move they made was being watched by two other people. These two were none other than Wu Qingming and Dai Ko, hiding in the shadows. Originally, this lovebird couple had been meeting secretly in the small garden not far from the palace. But for some unknown reason, the number of maids in the garden suddenly increased. Thus, with no other choice, the two were forced to change their rendezvous location to inside the palace. At first, everything was fine. The two were immersed in sweet affection and had a wonderful time. However, the good times did not last long. When Cao Wenbin descended from the sky, everything changed. How could mother do such a thing? Father treats her so well, how could she be unfaithful, shameless? At this moment, Wu Qingming's face turned as cold as Changbai Mountain. In front of her young lover, her own mother had done something so shameless. It was like rubbing salt into her wounds. No, I must record this scene with a shadow recording stone and report it to Father Emperor. With that, she prepared to go find the stone. But just as Wu Qingming stood up, Dai Ko pulled her back. It was not for fear of exposing their presence, for a thin layer of mist enveloped the two. This mist was emitted from a gourd. It could isolate all sound and aura. As long as one was not seen with the naked eye, no other means of detection could affect those within the mist. It was precisely by relying on this mist that Dai Ko could freely enter and leave the imperial palace. Qingming, don't act impulsively. This matter must never be spread. Dai Ko indeed harbored a deep hatred for Cao Wenbin, but he also understood that this was not something they could meddle in. If they rashly intervened, they might not even leave a complete corpse. After all, when the Tianwu Emperor saw the shadow recording stone, the first thing he would think of would not be to trouble Cao Wenbin, but to kill them first. Brother Dai Ko, why are you stopping me? Reaching out to pat the little girl's head, Dai Ko gave a bitter smile and then began to explain. Of course, he did not tell the truth. I am trying to preserve your family. Think about it. If your father saw this scene, your mother would surely be put in a pig. As for you and your brother. At this point, Dai Ko made a throat-slitting gesture. Unsurprisingly, Wu Qingming's face instantly turned pale with fright. At the same time, her gaze toward Dai Ko grew even gentler. This man was so good to her, always thinking of her in every way. However, soon her brows furrowed. But leaving it unchecked is not a solution either. Although mother has not yet lost her chastity, judging by their state, they are clearly not far from taking that step. Upon hearing this, a flash of jealousy passed through Dai Ko's eyes. Clearly, he was envious. First ancestor Dai Yunyu, then Empress Pei Luoxue. Damn it, why am I not the one enjoying all this? Where am I inferior to Cao Wenbin? He thought this, but Dai Ko dared not show it. After all, Wu Qingming was his only support at this moment. Don't worry, this is easy to resolve. The ruins will open in 3 days, and Cao Wenbin will definitely go there. We just need to kill this guy inside the secret realm, and then everything will be fine. Wu Qingming's spirits lifted. That's right. Only by eliminating the lover would her mother be unable to commit adultery. As for finding another, that was simply unrealistic. Not everyone dared to sleep with the Empress. Alright, that's settled. Tomorrow I will go to the Imperial Treasury and try to take out as many treasures as possible. I want to arm us to the teeth before entering the secret realm. 3 days later, in the dense forest north of the city. The third prince is truly benevolent. He's even willing to share the Emperor's secret realm with us. I used to think he was a charlatan, but now it seems I was too narrow-minded. Honestly, if I could control this secret realm, I could never be this generous. Exactly. Exchanging resources for entry tickets is already the limit for ordinary people. But the third prince. From half an hour ago, the entrance to the secret realm was filled with praises for Wu Chengxian. And they were incessant, never dying down. But these fools had no idea that they were being sold out and counting the money for the seller. Wu Chengxian opened this secret realm precisely to attract more scapegoats. After all, once Cao Wenbin was killed, the Cao family would definitely fly into a rage. If only members of the Wu family entered the secret realm, even if they had 100 mouths, they would be unable to escape blame. But if many people entered, it would be a different story. Even if the Cao family were domineering, they couldn't annihilate all the participating families. And there was another benefit: it could win people's hearts. Sure enough, after reaping this wave of reputation, Wu Chengqian's strength also reached the peak of the golden core stage. And this was the result of his deliberate suppression. Otherwise, he could at least have broken through to the middle stage of the human king realm. This feeling of using all beings as chess pieces is truly marvelous. For a moment, Wu Chengqian, standing at the front of the line, wore a look of smug satisfaction on his face. But soon his brow furrowed again. Why hasn't Cao Wenbin arrived yet? Could it be that even the burial site of an emperor fails to tempt him? As soon as this thought arose, Wu Chengqian grew restless. If he failed to lure the big fish Cao Wenbin, then the loss this time would be enormous. Fortunately, Cao Wenbin was considerate, so he didn't keep Wu Chengqian in suspense for long. However, what Cao Wenbin did upon arriving made Wu Chengqian's eyes burn with fury. Everyone step back. I've claimed this secret realm. Without my permission, anyone who dares approach will have their entire family annihilated. Upon hearing this, the crowd that had been boisterously discussing fell silent instantly. But just a few breaths later they erupted. Claiming the secret realm? Who do you think you are? The heavenly martial sovereign. Running into a fool, how unlucky. Let's join forces and kill him. Clearly these juniors present did not recognize Cao Wenbin. As for Wu Chengqian, the moment Cao Wenbin spoke, he slipped into the nearby dense forest. He wanted to discuss with the hidden Wu Lingtian how to break the situation. After all, Cao Wenbin's move was completely unexpected. Father Cao Wenbin is clearly about to overturn the table. If we don't come up with a countermeasure soon, everything will be lost. The more he spoke, the darker Wu Chengqian's face became. He truly hadn't expected Cao Wenbin to be so shameless, completely disregarding the rules of the game. However, he had to admit that this was the safest approach for Cao Wenbin. There is a countermeasure, but the cost is considerable. Hearing this, Wu Chengqian's spirits lifted. Father, what cost must be paid? The cost of a saint being eliminated. Wu Chengqian's expression stiffened, but before he could ask, Wu Lingtian explained on his own, the woman guarding Cao Wenbin is at the peak of the quasi-saint stage. That is to say, to make Cao Wenbin back down, a saint-level expert must intervene. Wu Chengqian understood. His father intended to exploit a time difference. Indeed, the Cao family had many saints, but there were none nearby, so as long as a saint spoke up, Cao Wenbin would inevitably yield. However, the fate of that saint. Thinking of this, a cold gleam flashed in Wu Chengqian's eyes. Father, since we have to sacrifice a saint anyway, why don't we? Wu Lingtian gently shook his head. Wu Lingtian directly rejected his son's proposal. Cao Wenbin can die, but only within the secret realm. If something happens outside, we will definitely not escape death either. Having said that, Wu Lingtian didn't dawdle. With a wave of his right hand, a silver light shot toward the horizon. Judging by its trajectory, it was headed for the Tianwu Imperial Palace. Father, which saint did you summon? Wu Chengqian had wanted to ask this earlier. After all, in his memory, aside from a few ancestors, the Wu family had no other saints. And this matter clearly couldn't involve the ancestors. Wang Tao. Though he received an answer, Wu Chengqian was even more confused. Wang Tao. Isn't he a quasi-saint? Wu Lingtian grinned. He is indeed a quasi-saint now. But that's because he suffered a fate. However, in a life-or-death struggle, he can briefly unleash saint-level power. Though unable to tear the void, a saint-level cultivator moves with astonishing speed. No sooner had Wu Lingtian sent his message than a scarred man abruptly materialized in the void before the entrance of the secret realm. I heard from my junior that there is a reckless fellow here who wishes to monopolize the secret realm. Come, let me see what this is all about. With that, his gaze landed directly on Cao Wenbin. An ordinary person would have been terrified, for this was a saint-level expert from the aura alone. But Cao Wenbin regarded him as nothing. A crippled dying ant that can barely exert saint-level power. What right do you have to be so arrogant? Wang Tao was momentarily stunned. Soon, however, he laughed. A deeply unnerving smile. You know I'm about to die, yet you still dare provoke me, eh? Aren't you afraid I'll drag you down with me before my end? Cao Wenbin chuckled as well. Pushing aside Shui Ro, who stood in his way, he asked calmly, do you know why ministers always thank the emperor for his grace before being executed? Wang Tao fell silent. Why thank the emperor? For their families, of course. If they didn't, their entire lineage would be thanking him. Realizing the implication behind Cao Wenbin's words, a sheen of cold sweat broke out on Wang Tao's forehead. But he had no retreat now. Thus he had no choice but to harden his bluff. Nonsense. What are you babbling about? Enough, get out of my way. This secret realm belongs to everyone, and you lack the strength to monopolize it. With that, he prepared to forcibly drive Cao Wenbin away. Yet to Wang Tao's astonishment, even after he had played his part to the fullest, the youth before him remained utterly unmoved. What trump card? At this moment, Wang Tao's heart was truly uneasy. Cao Wenbin did not let him dwell in doubt, who soon he revealed his ace. Sai, I gave you a chance. But you insist on seeking death. Don't blame me then. As his mumbling faded, a jade pendant on Cao Wenbin's chest radiated a five-colored light. Immediately a rift appeared in the sky above the crowd. From within stepped Liuzu. Brett, you finally decided to summon me. Witnessing such a spectacular scene, everyone present, except Cao Wenbin and Shui Rou, was utterly stunned. As for the posturing Wang Tao, he was so terrified that he plummeted from the sky. Clang! Without any cushioning, he landed face first in the dirt. But at that moment no one paid him any heed. For Cao Wenbin, under the gaze of all, had directly thrown himself into the newcomer's arms. Damn, who is this guy? Not only does he have a quasi-saint guard, but he also dares to fondle a great emperor. Indeed, after embracing Zhao Yuan, Cao Wenbin was not well behaved. His face kept rubbing against her voluptuous curves. Father, said the young master of the Cao family had come to Tianwu City. It seems this person is indeed the young master. Brother, don't forget to collect my corpse later. I just badmouthed the young master. Collect your corpse. If the young master wants to hold someone accountable, do you think I can escape? The young master is so handsome. I want to bear his children. While the onlookers buzzed with chatter, Cao Wenbin and Zhao Yuan began an amiable conversation. All right, you little rascal, if you're thirsty, go find water to drink. I've never given birth, so I can't quench your thirst. Cao Wenbin broke into a cold, truly a ripe woman. Her words were sharp. Instinctively, he wanted to say, I can give you that ability. But he swallowed the words. Zhao Yuan noticed his hesitation. Say what you want. Why hold back with me? Clearly she misunderstood, thinking he had a favor to ask. Nevertheless, her words gave him an opening. Sister Yuan, this secret realm is very useful to me. I want you to guard this entrance. Let no one enter until I come out. Cao Wenbin pointed to the already open secret realm. Without a moment's hesitation, Zhao Yuan nodded. Explore with peace of mind. As long as there's no other entrance, no one will disturb you. After giving Cao Wenbin reassurance, she looked down at the crowd. They'll give you 10 breaths. After 10 breaths, those who haven't left will never leave. Of course, if you're dissatisfied, you can summon your elders. I love reasoning and convincing with logic. The crowd was horrified. Without daring to utter a word, they vanished in an instant. All right, go in. Nodding, Cao Wenbin stepped into the portal of the secret realm. Behind him followed Qin Yunming, a beautiful woman, also at the core formation stage. As for the purpose of bringing this woman, tearing the void. The visitor is a great emperor. In a forest, dozens of Liuwei Wu Changxian lay sprawled on the grass, without dignity. He looked utterly wretched. Cao Wenbin, you have no martial ethics. I only used a basic attack. Why did you unleash your ultimate? Sigh, the ancients were right. Before absolute power, the most perfect schemes are nothing but dung. At this moment, Wu Changxian was lost. Zhao Yuan's appearance shattered all his ambitions. He felt his life path was a dead end. And the Cao family was the wall before him, insurmountable by any means. If I go to sue for peace now, I wonder if Cao Wenbin would release my mother. Truly, Wu Changxian was tenacious. Even at this moment, he still clung to the thought of his birthplace. So brother Changxian is also a kindred spirit. Who? Wu Changxian leaped up, immediately pulling out the demon suppression tower. His battle stance was instantly formed. Brother Changxian, no need to be so tense. My name is Dai Ku, and like you I share a blood feud with. Only what was taken from me was my clan's ancestor, while from you, it was your mother. Hearing this, Wu Changxian felt an instant camaraderie with, so he was not alone in this world. There were others with the same predilection. Yet he still did not let down his guard. Then what is brother Dai's purpose here? Dai did not beat around the bush. An enemy of my enemy is my friend. I came to seek you out to join forces against Cao Wenbin. With a bitter smile, Wu Changxian, who had just regained some spirit, wilted like a beaten eggplant. Brother Dai, if it were before today, I would not have declined. But now, you must have seen that great emperor. To put it bluntly, how can we fight against such a power? A smirk curled at the corner of his mouth, and then Dai uttered words that made Wu Changxian leap up. What if I know of another entrance to the secret? Wu Changxian narrowed his eyes. What do you want? I want everything inside the secret realm. Of course your mother is yours. And it would make the plan even more perfect. After all, with a great emperor personally guarding the place, if something happened to Cao Wenbin, who could? Naturally, it's true. The other entrance is in a cave 1,000 li from here, and there is a natural barrier around the cave's mouth. Even a great emperor, unless constantly monitoring with divine sense, would never discover it. So can we discuss the spoils now? Wu Changxian narrowed his eyes. What do you want? I want everything inside the secret realm. Of course your mother is yours. I want take what you cherish. Without a moment's hesitation, Wu Changxian nodded. Deal.